Welcome to the next dimension in entertainment. Coming to you live from the offices of Chapter One Films in Charlotte, North Carolina, this is the 4D Podcast with your hosts, Greg Prins, Nathaniel Levinson, and Marco Brutus. Sit back and enjoy a deep dive into film. This is the 4D Podcast.
Really is a banger of an intro.
Hello and welcome to the podcast.
If only the whole show is as good as our intro.
The name's Salt. Kosher Salt. Welcome to the podcast.
I feel like I have a good last name for it. The name's Prins. Greg Prins. But I've got a...
Actually, the name's Friends, or Robert Friends.
The name is Robert. Robert
Friends.
You guys ever hear that story? Did I ever tell you that story, Marco? I went to court. There was a guy that assaulted his girlfriend, and I chased him away, kind of,
do
de facto.
remember this.
And then I had to go testify in court.
He assaulted like a gardener. And
That's
so
right, you were there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was standing right next to you. This guy, this guy was chasing his girlfriend, like pregnant girlfriend.
And she just instinctively ducked behind
this guy who was doing like lawn work. And just started beating the crap out of this guy who's doing lawn work. So Greg and I like jumped out and like, you need to back up.
Yeah,
we started swearing at us, but then he walked away. And then Greg ended up going to court.
Yeah, then they're like,
testify.
hey, we caught him, so we need to testify. I'm like, that sounds great. And I enter my name. So for full disclosure, my first name is actually Robert.
Boo.
Robert Gregory Prins, full name.
He's been lying to you this whole
So
time,
I
folks.
say, my name is Robert Prins, and instead of P-R-I-N-Z, he does P-H-I-N-Z. And so I get to court, and they're like, Mr. Friends. And I'm like, you know what? Sure. We're just going to go. I was totally fine because then I had to sit there with Angry McAngry Pants, and they're like, do you know who beat up this guy? Can you point to him in the courtroom? And this dude, no lie, leaning back, just... I swear. And I'm like, we just going to let him look at me like that? And so I had to be like... that guy right there. So they're like, are you sure about that, Robert Friends? And then I was like, you know what? I'm really happy that you got my name wrong. 'Cause if that guy doesn't go to jail.
Some Robert Friend somewhere just got beat up on the street and has no idea why.
He's like, if I do one thing before, it's beat up Mr. Friends.
I'm gonna get his ass. Poor Robert Friends of Toledo, Kansas is like, just got his ass jumped and has no idea why.
He traveled all the way to Kansas just to do it.
Yeah.
The name is Friends. Robert Friends.
So, as you might have guessed by the way we're classy and drinking martinis, not shaken because you don't actually shake a martini. So, fun fact, the martini that James Bond is famous for is called the Vesper Martini, and it's something that Ian Fleming invented for the character.
So the idea that it's shaken, not stirred, means that you don't pour the ingredients in and stir it.
Yeah, so basically cocktails roughly break down into two categories. You stir them or you shake them.
Okay.
And typically, if it's just clear liquor, you don't shake it. If it has citrus in it or cream, you shake it. Reason being is if it's just clear liquor, then like right now, this is like perfectly clear. If you were to shake it, you incorporate air and it would be cloudy. So
Okay.
typically you wouldn't stir a martini.
You wouldn't shake a martini.
Yes, you wouldn't. You wouldn't shake a martini.
Okay. And so his whole thing of shaken, not stirred is just like a personal preference. Just
It's
kind
a
of
thing that Ian
show
Fleming
us.
made up. He invented like a specific build of a martini.
Wow.
That was like 3 parts gin to 1 part vodka to 1 part a vermouth called Lillet Blanc, and then shaken instead of being stirred.
And they were like, James Bond's going to love this drink. And I
No,
got to admit,
he invented it in the novel, like in the first James Bond novel, which I believe was Casino Royale.
I got to admit, although Nathaniel does a good job, not my favorite drink.
Not my favorite drink either, honestly.
But a great job.
The other
at
drinks
not
I
a
made
very good
better.
drink.
Honestly, the one I made for Marco was better, but Marco's a Philistine who doesn't like good things. So
Yeah,
Marco-
I'm not a.
Let me give you the 5 main categories of things Marco likes to eat. Okay, it's Taco Bell, Captain Morgan, Heinz ketchup,
it's the food groups.
and it's actually just 3.
that's the food. I mean, that's the food pyramid.
If you're wondering what goes
In
on in
my
Marco's
defense-
belly, it's only those 3 things.
In my defense,
in any combination.
Taco Bell, yes, I'll give you that.
Okay.
I love me some Taco Bell. Rum is my drink of choice. That is basically the only thing I drink. And the ketchup thing, you guys
Apparently
just make
not.
fun of me strictly due to the fact that I'm brand specific when it comes to ketchup. That's the only thing that I'm ever brand specific about. Any mustard, I'm good. Any mayo, I'm good. Everybody else is all mayo. It has to be insert mayo brand here.
I'm not a
but
very-
for ketchup, for some reason, I'm like, it's got to be Heinz. All the other ones taste like dirt. It's gross.
You want to know a really weird date that I was on one time? I went on a date with a girl who was brand specific about apples and just couldn't stop talking about it, and I was so
That's
confused.
weird.
It was, and I pointed it out, and it just
She was like, I only.
She was
Fuji
like,
apples.
well, I'll take some Granny Smiths and some blood, and she keeps naming all these different kinds, and I'm like, girl, I was just talking about like what kind of fruit you like, and she was like, and then I kind of point, I'm like, well, that's kind of funny, like I didn't know that you get so brand specific, and then she just went down this rabbit hole of all the different. Well, you have to, because otherwise you're going to end up with the sweet Malane or whatever. She kept going down, and I'm like, okay, you've lost me at whatever the third, fourth one you said. I was like, there's Granny Smith.
There's the green one,
Yeah,
and there's the red one.
That's kind of what I was getting at. I was like, I think Granny Smith is the red one.
Nope.
See, already wrong. So like,
How can someone be so wrong about
tell me
everything?
it's a green or red apple. That's all I need to know. Anyways, but then I was like, you know what? Thank you. Didn't really work out, but I have a ton of apple knowledge, which I clearly forgot all about. So,
and will definitely be useful in my everyday life.
So we are talking about 2 James Bond movies today. We hope that you were able to get a hold of those. They're kind of oldies, but it was a fun time watching these movies. We were watching Dr. No, which is the first James Bond movie, Sean Connery, and then the last Sean Connery James Bond movie, which was Never Say Never Again. Very different feeling James
Yes.
Bond movies. They had
Yeah.
some of the similar charm, but we'll
So,
kind of get into both.
Do you
of
want
them.
me to give the kind of background on the James Bond film productions and things like that now, or do you want me to wait until we get to
Well, I think what we need to do is our contractually obligated segment here.
Oh,
as
right.
as you all know, we did receive an email from our
yuck.
generous and fearless leader Jakob. It is.
And honestly, I think Jakob would prefer me to read it as Sean Connery.
Oh,
That's
This time.
probably
that is
on brand.
probably
do that.
on brand.
Well, he actually probably thinks Sean Connery is a sexist.
Yeah, that'd be
but
my
That's why
assumption.
it's
you
an
know what?
insulting letter, so he'd like it to be Sean
yeah,
Connery.
that's true. I like it. I like the thought process here. So,
So let's get a little,
so
let's get a little
Nathaniel,
jazzy
Nathaniel
here.
got the.
Yeah,
I have the
we
letter
all have
from-
Okay.
we all have the email here.
It's a long one.
Yeah, it is a bit of a long one, and I apologize in advance. But here you go.
All right, go for it.
Dear Marco, Greg, Marco, and Nathaniel, before you start tonight's show about Dr. No and Never Say Never Again, I just want to get ahead of what I'm sure will be another podcast of outdated patriarchal movie worship. Also, as a quick reminder, I recently transitioned to my pronouns are now they, them, and I'd really appreciate if you three could at least pretend to remember them on air. Your email last week was your accidental pronoun mishap lives rent-free in my trauma journal. Now, regarding Dr. No, maybe the no stands for no accountability, since Bond spends the whole movie doing whatever he wants without a shred of self-awareness. And Never Say Never Again, classic. A movie about a man who literally can't stick to his boundaries. Must be nice to have the confidence of Sean Connery, quitting, unquitting, and calling it iconic. I'll be monitoring the episode live, pen in hand, ready to document every instance of toxic nostalgia, uncritical admiration of tailored suits, and the failure to mention the socio-political implications of 1960s spy culture. I'm like something in Winston Churchill, but it's okay. Please just try once to make it through an episode without making me sigh audibly in the group chat. In solidarity and mild exhaustion, your producer, Jakob, they, them, recently, thank you. Oh, he added some pronouns there.
Dude, that's wild.
He
man.
identifies as they, them, recently, thanking you.
We,
Yeah. Wow.
I thought he was just going to identify as Sean Connery just for the show.
Sean,
and we had-
his pronouns are
Sean.
Sean Connery.
Man, what a wild email.
we really
just got.
found a good one though. He does pay the bills though.
God, he pays the bills good.
He pays us tens of dollars per episode.
Pretty wild.
Which is
That's how we can afford this.
how we can afford
mid-shelf
these drinks
gin for the martinis.
And if you haven't noticed, the suits that Nathaniel and I are wearing,
I didn't get the memo. Sorry about that. But I did wear at least a button up.
you did great. And going
Thanks,
back
man.
to Marco's stinginess about things, just like his cuisine choices, his attire choices consist of Chapter One Films stuff and hats.
Yeah, he doesn't even have pants.
It-
Very disturbing.
barely concerns himself with pants, honestly. It's Chapter One Films branded things and then hats of any kind.
I am a hat person. I don't think that I have
We're not
gone
sure if
a
he has a
day.
head
I'm not
underneath
sure I've gone a day in the last 10 years without a hat on my head,
That's
which
wild.
is pretty wild if you think about it. Every single day I get up and I put my hat on.
Well, what movie should we start
His wife
with?
was like, "Can you please not wear hats to bed?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" Oh,
What do you
shoot, sorry, I did it
mean?
again.
Yeah, so today, as we noted, we're going to be going over 2 movies. The first one we're going to talk about is Dr. No.
Yep.
And to be completely honest, I don't really care who does the synopsis for this one.
I was gonna say, do we need synopsises for these? They're James Bond films. Like,
Yeah,
they
but
kind of do the same thing.
We'll go for. Let's
Yeah,
go
we can do
for
it.
it. We
Yeah,
can shove it into.
let's just go for it. You might as well. The first one is Dr. No, and I guess
This one's a
whoever
little
wants
more
to.
condensed.
Whoever wants
They're
to.
going to be tough because they're pretty convoluted. Like
Yeah.
a lot of things happen.
Yeah, a
yeah,
lot of
so-
things happen, but not a lot is super important.
Right. I'm trying to think of what things to leave out.
Yeah. So to give you an idea, let's do a bit of background here. The idea here is to do a synopsis between a random number generator of 10 and 30 seconds. I've actually shortened it even still
Perfect.
because I really
We did
want you
not need
guys to
60
try
seconds.
hard to squeeze as much information in a short amount of time. So the first number that we're going to be doing this and the number of seconds for Dr. No is 27 seconds. So the idea again is
I'll
to
give it
do
a
a
shot.
synopsis of Dr. No within 27 seconds. And you said who's going to do it?
I'm going to give it a shot.
All right.
Mr. Prince.
We are going to set this up. Timer, 27 seconds. On your mark, get set, go.
A 00 agent is assassinated, so they dispatch James Bond to this island. I forgot where it was.
It was Jamaica.
Jamaica, where he got assassinated to figure out what's going on. He slowly figures out the plot, which is that there's a small island offshore that houses Dr. No. Dr. No has a nuclear bomb. Has a nuclear machine that basically shoots down bombs, and so he's been kind of disrupting all the U.S.'s missiles. James Bond gets out there, kicks his butt, saves the day, makes out with the girl. End of story.
Bah, that was really good.
Now, I will offer a correction. He's basically messing with their space program.
Wow.
Okay, it was some. It was some.
No,
kind of
you were mostly like, I mean, it was instead of missiles, it was like them launching rockets and satellites
Okay.
and things.
Rockets
But
instead of
basically-
missiles, yeah.
Basically, you had it.
Yeah. Wow, that was absolutely incredible.
That was-
absolutely. It was spot on the time. I think it was about 26 and a half seconds. It really was.
The name's Greg. Prince Greg. I realized that I said the first name. First try. The name's James Bond. If Greg was James Bond. The name's James. James.
So
Gone.
before we jump into it, I have a question for Marco because I heard
boy.
you understand like casino games. What the hell game? I know they were playing like, some version of
Ah,
they were
Baccarat.
playing
so-
interesting.
Because
So
they
can
kept
you
saying
bunk.
bunk.
I just get bunk. Doof.
So
They-
explain it.
Please.
Yes.
I
So
have no idea.
Baccarat is a game that is, I would say, the closest game to blackjack as you can get in a casino.
Okay.
The only
Other than
difference
blackjack.
being other than blackjack or variations of blackjack, 21, Spanish 21, things like that. Baccarat is a game where you don't have any control over what is happening. So in blackjack, you hit, you stand, you split, you double. You have action items that you do as a player of the game blackjack. In Baccarat, the first thing you do is just bet on whether the player or the banker is going to win. Now, in the movie, it's actually a variation of Baccarat, which I've never played. It's actually a person versus person version of it, which is a whole nother realm. I've never played it before, but the idea is that you have 2 cards, and it's the closest to 9. With the second digit being your number. So if you have 11, 1 point. If you have 13, it's 3 points. And it's the closest to
So a
9.
19 would still nail
A
it.
19, an 8, or a 9 is a natural, is what they call it. Natural 8, natural 9. And those are automatic wins, assuming that the other player does not have an 8 or a 9
So
with
it's
you.
kind of like war.
It's very similar to War. There is some other nuance to it in the
Sure.
sense that after, let's say player has 3 and banker has 4, there's some nuance in who. There's some other draws that happen, but they are casino rules. The players do not have any role in what gets what. It's basically a 50-50 game. It's basically what it is.
Yeah, it struck me from the little bit that I've heard from you that it's effectively just a luck game.
It's 100% a luck
granted,
game. It's a 50-50.
Every casino game's a luck game, but some of them you at least need to know what's going on in order
Right,
to know how to bet.
exactly. The main thing comes from the main thing comes from the fact that you don't have any action items as a player. Blackjack, you have action items. Roulette, you don't really have an action item, but at least you can pick and strategize based on where you think the ball is going to land. And other games you have action items. Baccarat is literally just you're betting on one or the other, and then whatever happens happens. Like that's it.
Yeah. So they play Baccarat in these movies is why we asked that. So the opening scene of Dr. No is him just playing this game, and a woman is just like, "Hey, I'm just in love with you," just because, which is just.
I mean, he's charming.
Typical Bond.
Yeah. Which, if we're gonna get all, what subject should we start on here, Marco?
Yeah, so let's actually. I really am super curious to know what you guys thought of the because it's an older movie, the videography side, but then the most obvious is the score. I mean, let's be completely honest. The iconic 007
Very
score
good.
that comes out of that is so good.
What I found interesting, and obviously this is the first one.
Yeah, first ever.
The first ever James Bond film. Every James Bond film after this has an entire bespoke theme song involving the title of the movie. This
Like
is the
it
only
literally
one.
says the title of the movie.
Yes.
Well, this is the only one which probably the most famous one is "Live and Let Die."
Yeah.
By
Well,
a famous
Skyfall
rock
is
band.
pretty.
Skyfall is up
Adele
there.
did Skyfall. I think Goldfinger is one of my favorites. It's very silly. It's just like Goldfinger.
Yeah, it is-
It's such
it
a
is weird.
Cold finger. You're like, what? The man with the Midas touch. It's so silly.
So we do. I wanted to interject here, and I guess we can get into this later. But somebody did put in the chat that before anyone speaks any blasphemy, Sean Connery is the best Bond.
I agree.
According to this individual here in the chat.
I agree.
I would like to open that up to discussion.
Yeah, sure.
You should have the top 5 should be top 5 Bonds.
Ah,
That would have been-
that would have been a good one.
Wouldn't have covered all of them, but I do have my ranking.
Although that would have been for Nathaniel, because I actually haven't absorbed every single James Bond. I've watched most of them, and I've always enjoyed them, just kind of mildly. Though I'm not a hardcore like. I think there are some elements that I've heard from you where you're like, "Ooh, these specific things irritate me because they're not there," and for me, I'm just less of a fan. Like I'm just like oh, okay, like I didn't notice those as much, but I respect it still.
To me, James Bond is like it's like the spy version of Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, that checks out. That
checks
really
out.
checks out. Considering what we're about to talk
They
about.
take themselves seriously, but they're goofy and fun
Yeah.
and ridiculous.
Right.
And to kind of get the Roger Moore run was probably the most ridiculous, like just of the stupid stuff that happens. Roger Moore probably takes the cake. But yeah, so to me, Sean Connery is like the quintessential Bond. I think every movie he's in ranges from like an enjoyable watch to legitimately very good. And then he's suave and charming, but he also is just like very. He's just got a very masculine presence, which I think is important for James Bond. He completely carries the entire film.
So do you think it carries more weight that the movies are actually good, that he's in them, or that he actually plays a good, like, so for an example,
I think it's both.
I actually thought that this is just an aside, but I thought Ben Affleck kind of worked as Batman. I just thought that he did it well. He looked big. I liked his version of Batman. I thought those were the worst Batman movies
100%.
like ever. However, I wasn't super mad at him being Batman,
Sure.
or the guy who does the voice for Scar, who was Alfred in that movie. I actually thought that combination was fine. So like for me, if I was to like rank things, I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, they were bad movies, so therefore they're here. So as far as the James Bond goes, is there a world where the James Bond was good but the movie was bad? Does that happen for any of them?
I think so. In my opinion, the only Bond who's been like a bad actor was Timothy Dalton. I just think his 2 movies, I think he's just legitimately like not doing a good job as Bond. Even though my least favorite Bond movie of all time, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, I think George Lazenby still does a decent job at James Bond. And that movie just pisses me off for a lot of reasons.
Well, my first memory of James Bond was when Pierce Brosnan.
Oh
was,
yeah, he did a great job.
Yeah, and I had video games and the
He's my
short
number
bits
2.
of movies that I've seen. It was always him. So he's kind of like the image of James Bond that I have, and maybe it's affected by that was my first experience with it. But everything at least in my head, it's like, oh, you're aiming at that to be James Bond.
Yeah.
When that's not the truth. Obviously, it started with Sean Connery and everything after that's
Sure.
trying to mimic it. But in my head, it worked the opposite
Well,
way. So I always liked Pierce
Having
Brosnan.
watched every James Bond movie except for the most recent Daniel Craig ones, I think Spectre, I've seen Skyfall. I didn't see Spectre or No Time to Die.
Okay.
So I haven't seen the last two, but I know what happens in both of them, and I've seen the other three Craigs. So I feel qualified
punch,
to
kick.
I feel qualified to make the statement. Daniel Craig run is my least favorite Bond, and not because of him, just because I don't like the way that because when you watch all of them and you get the idea, like in Dr. No and Never Say Never Again, you kind of get the flavor of James Bond.
Sure.
It's fairly lighthearted. Really goofy stuff happens. Like I had forgotten in Never Say Never Again, the missile jetpack thing. I had forgotten that happened. Greg can tell you, I
It's so
burst out
funny.
laughing
Yes.
because I've
There's
seen
a
that
lot
movie
in that
multiple
one that
times.
we can talk
I
about.
burst out laughing because I'd forgotten that happens. And then the Daniel Craig Bonds to me were just like, okay, well, it's just Mission Impossible, and we already have a Mission Impossible. Yeah. It's called Mission Impossible.
Yeah, he was definitely. They tried to make them
it
more
had a
gritty
niche.
and a little more. You've always pointed out that he's more like James. I mean, he's more like Jason Bourne than James, like where he's just
And to me, James Bond films have a niche that really hasn't been filled by a lot of other things. Like it either goes into like spoof parody, like Johnny English, which is still a fun movie, like Johnny English, like Austin Powers, which are fun movies but are clearly like leaning into the really goofy, wacky side for laughs.
right.
Or it goes into the gritty Jason Bourne Mission Impossible. And James Bond just always toes that line. And the James Bond movies I like less are the ones where they try to be more gritty, because James Bond has always toed the line between somewhat serious things happening, but still be very lighthearted and charming. You know, James Bond is popping one-liners after every pun. He's basically like Arnold. He says a one-liner pun after every kill. It became like an iconic thing of him to just have a cheesy one-liner after every kill. But it's very goofy from an outside perspective, but they take it very seriously in universe. Whereas Johnny English and like clearly everyone in the movie is in on the joke.
Sure.
And I really just can't think of another series that does spy stuff that toes that line as well as James Bond has over the course of many, many movies.
Well, after watching at least two of the originals with Sean Connery, I can see how different that is from the. I've seen all of the modern ones, seen all the Pierce Brosnan ones, and so I can see the difference, like the stark contrast. And I think that these, at least the first one is written well. Like there are a lot of examples on how to do good character writing that I can point out in that movie. The second one we watch, we can talk about. But the first one, if we're gonna be getting into, well, I guess we can touch briefly on the score. But like, so the score is amazing. It's I would say that it's way more prominent, and I liked every minute of how prominent it is in that first movie than I thought it would be. But it's like it's almost every moment it just kind of comes in softly in the background. And it starts to make its way and build a little bit, and I'm like. That's exactly what I want.
And
that's exactly what I want.
That's something that old movies do that newer movies really just don't do.
They struggle.
Is they score to the action. Like the score is written after the fact, kind of almost like Looney Tunes cartoons, where they would do the animation and then they would go and score it afterwards or they would listen to the music and fit it to that and that sort of thing, where the action is just emphasized by the music. Horror movies are kind of the only thing that still really does that uses the music to build the tension.
The only thing cinematography wise, just because I think we can all agree that the score is just is beautiful in the first one. The cinematography, the only thing that really stands out are the car scenes, because you can definitely tell. And it's nothing really
not
to be
quite
mad
Batman
at.
66 level, but
it's nothing to be mad at because that's just how they could do. They're like, we're gonna film off the back of a car while we drive, and then just superimpose it behind this car.
And the thing is, the actual car chase they did. Like the zoom outs are actually pretty good.
Once it's farther away and the cars are zipping around corners, that's all good. As soon as it zooms in, the proportions are so off to where the car behind him, I'm like, that is a massive car. That car is four times the size of your car.
One of the things that I could not get past were the weird sound effects. Holy cow! First off,
they cannot get gunshots right.
No.
Oh yeah,
that's
been just for like all James Bond movies up until like the modern era. They're like these weird pew 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 noises.
But it's not even that. And sometimes it'll be sometimes where they'll actually have like an actual gun without a silencer or suppressor technically, and it'll be like.
Yeah, they make like weird like. It's like
What
Like,
is-
the hell?
what are
Yeah.
you shooting at me? Like a
the
Nerf
gun
gun?
noises are bizarre, and I
Yes.
don't know what they were thinking there because there were war movies that had decent gun noises.
Yeah.
So I have no idea who did the Foley work for
Yeah.
the guns. They did a bad job. It's
Yes.
distractingly
I just
weird.
wonder if like because we're definitely in the age of information now. We can figure out what a gun sounds like, implement that sound. We can figure out what actually disarming somebody would look like, and train Keanu Reeves to be able to do things like that, so it looks realistic. And but it's almost like I never thought it was that bad to where they were just like yes, and then come up behind him and he just like grabs his chest and the guy just falls down dead. And I'm like. All right, were we ever at that point where we were like, and that's probably a move somewhere?
Yeah. But
It's like we had to have known even at the time. People are going to be like, because I mean, any stuff with a neck kind of makes sense, but it was so low effort sometimes where
yeah.
he just
Some
kind of
of
like
them-
grab his face and then he just falls down. And I was
Yeah,
like,
some of them was
What'd he
the
do?
other thing was that the karate chop, the karate chop to the neck.
gotta love the karate chops.
It's so good. And then the sound effect, right? The
Yeah.
sound effect that goes along with it. And then every punch too. Every punch had the same exact sound effects as like the same. It was the same one over and over. It was like.
Yeah.
It was the same one, no matter who he punched and where he punched
The
him.
thing
It was
is,
the same exact sound
I think
effect.
the sound effects do get better. Remember, this is their first one, so it's possible.
Oh, yeah.
They just couldn't afford anything else.
That was the other thing. So the little bit of research that I did on this one, actually, this was a very low budget film. It was only done with $1 million. Mind you, $1 million is quite a bit. But in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to Hollywood,
Well, and what
really
they're trying
not
to
that-
tackle when they're like, "Hey, we're
Exactly.
we're gonna have giant
explosions
reactors
and
that
stuff,
are going
right.
to be
Yeah,
we're gonna
like
be out on a
the-
fuel
and the
rig."
They had
vast
that-
majority of the budget was actually done for the layer, the bad guy's
because
layer.
it's like
Yeah.
it's really
elaborate.
detailed.
It's
and
very
everyone's
elaborate.
wearing those weird suit
Yep.
things. Like they put a lot into that set.
I love how they have like it's clearly just a big screen that's got video of like tuna swimming, but it's gigantic. So he's like, "Hey, some pretty cool tuna," and he's like, "Yeah, the glass enhances their size." So you're like, "That's what we're going with." Huh? We're like, I respect it. That works. I was like, that's because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, why are those fish gigantic? Why does it look like there's just a camera sitting there,
So-
like a security camera with all these fish just
Yeah.
swimming right up to it? And it's blown
So
up.
I want to talk about some of the things, the James Bond things that are introduced in this film that just kind of carry forward in basically every other film.
Yeah.
So one is obviously Moneypenny. So the secretary, Secretary Moneypenny, she is, and James Bond are always flirting and just like never actually do anything.
Right.
So perpetual flirting, nothing ever happens. M obviously is the boss of whatever the agency is. It's never actually clear what the name. I think it's supposed to be MI6, but they never actually explicitly say that.
So they kind of did in the movie in Dr. No, but it wasn't explicit. They were saying something along the lines of, and we have to call MI6. It was
Yeah.
a reference to MI6, but it wasn't technically defined that the
Right.
007, at least in these two movies, and again, I'm with Greg on this. I haven't seen all of them. I would love
Yeah.
to go back and watch all of them. It is on
Yeah.
my list of things to do. I've watched a good portion of them, probably about 50 to 60% of them, but I haven't watched them all. So I don't know
Yeah.
if in any of the future movies they reference it being MI6.
Yeah. Then of course you have the lover, who have ridiculous names.
All the lovers.
Yeah. So in this case, her name was what? What was the girl's name? It was relatively low key, but it was like Sunday or something.
Something like that.
Something ridiculous.
It's
right?
the girl he found out at,
Yeah,
at, the,
at the beach.
island.
What was her name?
I know she's like, I didn't go to school, and I was like, well,
We can tell.
you're
Honey.
not, honey.
Yeah.
No, yeah, honey, played by Ursula Andress rather.
Yeah. So all the James Bond, obviously the worst examples are the Roger Moore, which interestingly came out the same year as Never Say Never Again, Octopussy,
Yes.
named after the movie Octopussy, and then of course in Goldfinger, the villainous bat girl who he seduces is named Pussy Galore, which of course he calls Pussy.
So good. So good.
So good. And then, of course, Felix Leiter is his friend in the CIA. Felix Leiter shows up in a lot of movies, played by different actors. Sometimes he's white, sometimes he's black. In a couple movies, more than one movie, he's killed, and James Bond goes on a revenge plot to
Is he always the same name?
always Felix Leiter.
That's
Yeah.
That's so
And
great.
this is what I love about the James Bond continuity is they don't explain who these people are. Like in Doctor No, that's the only one where he meets Felix Leiter for the first time. In every other movie, since they've already established who Felix Leiter is, he's just like, oh, hi, Felix. Regardless of the actors changing and things like that. I love that there's like
Felix
there's,
is the one that burned in this one, right? The
yeah.
first one?
No. That was the guy who did the boat. That wasn't Felix.
Okay. Sure.
But Felix was on the boat that picked them up at the end.
Ah, yes.
But yeah, Felix is in a bunch of movies. M is obviously always in the movie. Although the actor for M becomes one person. Q ends up in a bunch of different movies, like with a bunch of different Bonds.
Yeah.
So there's like weird strands of continuity. It's almost Doctor Whovian, and how they're just like certain things that are just contiguous, even though each movie is technically its own thing.
Yeah.
Which I find fascinating. Like there is continuity, and there also isn't continuity.
Well, and then the tropes that again we take for granted, and we're just like like this is just a rounded spot. Like these are really what started. I mean, Doctor No is it's always interesting to find where all those things come from. And just the idea that he's a womanizer and that he's well respected and all this other stuff. Like
that he's a good agent.
Yeah, that it all sparks.
Yeah.
From there, and
that was one of the things that I
like. Sorry,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I like that. One of the first things that happens. So he's famous for having a Walther PPK gun. That's like the James Bond gun, and he uses that gun. He gets that gun because they're like, "What do you have?" Oh, this are old bearings. Like, the M is basically like, "Yeah, that's pussy shit. Give that to me."
Yeah. So one of the things that I actually enjoyed.
Beretta. It was a Beretta.
In a lot was the idea that he didn't have to try to get the girls. The girls just kind of just swooned over him. And I felt like that was one of the big things that, back in the day and stuff like that, I feel like it was almost implied when a big masculine character was in the room that girls would just swoon over them. Nowadays in movies, it's like, the guy has to do everything and like make a fool of himself to get the attention of a girl, when back in the day it was kind of commonplace for a girl to basically throw themselves at a very masculine individual in the room, assuming that it was a movie, of course.
Sure.
And in the Bond movies, they did that perfectly. I mean, every single female in the movie literally gravitated towards
He also
Bond.
is like very charming.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, and something that I think the movie does well, if we're going to get into the character of James Bond and how to write characters well, is it does a ton of showing without telling. Like pretty much the entire movie is all showing without telling. There's never, hey, exposition dump where somebody's like, James Bond, the one that every girl wants to be with, or James Bond, the best agent that we have. Like there's none of that. They just show you that he is. I mean, he's introduced in the first scene and he's very suave. He pushes his chips over. He takes a puff of his cigarette and he says, oh, better luck next time, or whatever he says. And the girls are instantly just like, excuse me, sir. And he shows very little interest, and that just sparks them more. And they're like, well, what if I come to your... So, and I think that having that consistency throughout is... People just struggle with that now. Like, it's really difficult for people to do that well nowadays. Like, they just... Because their actual characters aren't believable. Like, the characters that they have that are good at fighting or are lovable or caring, they don't actually write them that well. They just want the audience to believe that. So they'll just introduce some character to say, oh, this is so-and-so. She is the best pilot we have, and she's really, really loving and caring. And it's like, why didn't you show me that by any of her actions? She doesn't strike me as very loving and caring.
Yeah. Well, let's go through what it shows us about James Bond without telling us anything about him. He gets to the airport at Kingston, and there's a car waiting for him. So the first thing he does is he goes and he rings up the people he's supposed to meet, and he says, did you send a car for me?
Yeah.
They say no. He says, okay. He goes and he gets in the car with the person who's clearly there to do him harm so he can figure out what's going on, pulls the gun on him and makes him pull over, and then shows that he's good at hand-to-hand combat. Mm-hmm. And then later he gets to his hotel room and he starts setting up little traps to see if someone breaks into his hotel room.
Yeah.
Right? So he's a good spy. He's good at what he does.
Yeah.
And it shows you that he's cautious for the most part. But it also shows you that he's a womanizer in the sense that the woman at the baccarat table just shows up in his hotel room.
Right.
And he's like, well, I have to go. And she's like, oh, stay. And he's like, well, maybe I could leave in an hour.
And that's always the thing, is that he'll always act like he can't, but then he'll always give in. And I think that something that makes his character, and again, be like the masculine archetype. And I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying that being like James Bond is actually a good thing in real life, to treat women that way, to so flippantly. I mean, the girl in the second one that we'll get to, he just like sleeps with and he starts using her to help him, and then she just drowns and he just kind of runs off. And like,
oh no.
he is clearly, in real life, this character is an awful person. I think the reason he's appealing to men and men like to watch the character is because that, what you described, Marco, is an impressive thing. Like for a woman, you're chased by most men. Like most men, if you're a woman that you really want to sleep with somebody, it pretty much takes you just going, hey, is anybody want to sleep with me? Bam, and it'll happen. For a man, they're like, and there's been studies about this. Like even if you're a good-looking, well-maintained man, it takes charming your way into a girl's good graces, and it's not like girls have boundaries up, and so that's just why typically when you see a man who's got women lined up, it's like, oh, maybe culture would be like, hey, he's got his crap together, right? Like that's something that I want to be like. Whereas a girl in that situation, you'd say, oh, she's very unchaste and she's kind of a flim flam and she'll just get with anybody. And I think the idea behind that is because it is functionally easier for women to get that when they want it. Yeah. Like they can. Like girls can get that whenever they want it. Like that's, as a man, there are hoops you have to jump through to get to that point. And so for someone like James Bond, who the women are all flocking to him, that's like,
it's a weird,
it's like every man's
enjoyable change in pace from what the norm actually is in real life,
right? Exactly.
In the modern era. Sure. Now, I wasn't born during the Cold War. I have no idea how it was back then. So maybe it was like that, and it's slowly over the course of time, with feminism going up out to the roof, that it changed.
So
I don't know. You know what I mean?
I think from both sides, it was much more. It was much more in your face. I mean,
as soon as women got the vote, it was downhill. Am I right, fellas? You know what's funny? You know, an interesting fact. You know, an interesting fact I actually learned. This is briefly aside, is that most of the people who were initially against suffrage were women, because they're like,
it came along with mandatory bucket duty.
Well, no, but and
a few other things.
But the problem was, it let men get more disconnected from the home, and that was one of the reasons the push for prohibition was largely from women saying, "I'm sick and tired of my husband coming home stupid drunk." 'Cause they had seriously. If you think people have problems drinking nowadays, they had serious drinking problems in the early 1900s.
Yeah,
well, I think people were just more bold in general back then, because if you saw somebody pretty, it was like, I might never say. There's no social media. There's no way to keep up with people. There's no phone. So if for them, it's like, and you talk to your grandparents and people's grandparents, and you hear their stories, and it's just like, well, I saw your grandmother one day, and I said, Betty, I'm going to marry you. And she said, you're crazy. And then I took her out to the fair, and then we got, and it's like, what? What kind of cotton candy world were you living in but I think that was just.
Right after I get back from the war, and then I blew off my leg.
It was like a little more appropriate for the time, is for both directions. For a woman, too, to go up to a man and be like, well, why haven't you asked me to marry you yet? And I think that's a little more apparent. Although,
well, also marriage was seen as a much more beneficial pursuit then, and it's kind of looked down on in a lot of ways now.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and then nothing about this is promoting. Nothing about these movies is promoting
trying
marriage.
To promote. And again, James Bond womanizing is like, you can look at it in one direction and be like, damn, he's just so charismatic and magnetic. But also, it gets him in a ton of trouble.
Right.
So it is a character flaw, and they're pretty clear that it is a character flaw.
Right. That he's always that he's compromising.
Yeah, he ends up compromising his mission a lot of times because he has to think with his dick.
Yeah.
Right. So it is obviously, again, you look at it and you're like, damn, he's smooth. But also, it is very clearly a character flaw.
So what do we think about the story of the first one, of Dr. No?
So I thought that, and this is a product of older movies, and I get it. So I try to give it a little bit of leeway, but there were definite implied plot holes or plot holes that were supposed to be implied. And I think that there was a lot of missing parts.
In what way?
I mean, kind of similar to the example that you gave in the beginning, where he was just assumed to be really good at what is his job. And I guess it did show that, but there were certain things like, I don't know, him being good at shooting and like this and that. Like, I don't know. It just seemed like some of them were just implied. I don't know how to explain it other than
Like they didn't show his training montage.
yeah, like they didn't explain how he became or anything like
Well-
that. It's just kind of like you just kind of thrown into the concept. And again, I kind of chalk that up as a lot of older movies typically have those. They're implied, and a lot of times I like that because it does keep the movie typically short. And a shorter movie, in my opinion, is typically better. 3-hour long movies, which is the norm nowadays, sucks. It's terrible.
awful.
It's like ripping your eyes out in a movie theater. But for Dr. No, I think
have
it was
to-
only an hour and 45 minutes or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that,
it
which
was-
is, at the time was probably pretty long. I mean, in the grand scheme of things.
Especially considering their budget.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that there were plot holes that were implied to be completed, and it could have done a better job. But am I upset with it? No, not really.
Is it better to say that there was character development that happened off screen that you just assumed
That's-
to implied that happened?
That's the exact way that I would describe it. There is character development that happens that we don't actually get.
Well,
Sure.
we jump
But
in
they're
without
implied.
the origin story.
Yeah,
Right.
It's just a movie that doesn't
It's an
bother.
action
Give me
movie.
your drink, bitch.
It's a movie that doesn't bother telling the origin story, which to me was fine. That wasn't one of my flaws with the story. I mean, and to be honest, it was less goofy than I thought it would be.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
it was pretty
Outside of the
grounded.
sound effects.
It was like, hey, like you're one of our agents got killed. We need to dispatch you to figure out what's going on. He's very clever in the ways that he finds that out. It wasn't just like he shows up and there's people training sharks to attack people, and they're like, that must be the bad. Like it was, he was well thought through.
Yeah.
He kind of has a scuffle with some of the other agents he's working with at first because he doesn't know who they are, and then he realizes, okay, we're on the same team here. He's asking around. He figures out when people are lying, which is clever, and he makes his way out to the island. Finds his way into Dr. No's good graces, and I think not good graces, but into his clasp. And I think one of the, I don't know if this is a consistent thing with James Bond movies, but it seems to be, is that he's always caught by the villain at the end.
Pretty much.
He's caught by
Generally.
the villain, and that's how he gets into his grasp.
Yeah.
And then the villain will do something stupid like, I'm gonna hang you from this roof and I'll kill you later.
You expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond. I expect you to die. Well, then shoot him.
Yeah,
and shoot him.
But that
Yeah.
that is just like you kind of have to accept it. Although
Yeah,
the second
that's-
movie we watched goes to extreme levels of
Yes.
lunacy. This one was a little more like, okay, he throws him in the prison cell, so he gets captured by Dr. No out on his fuel rig thing. And Dr. No's honestly introduces a pretty good villain. Like he doesn't have to say much. You instantly fear him because of how he's been introduced, right? Like you had the one other doctor character approach him, and he was just this voice echoing in a room, and he's like, Dr. No, and he's just like, why are you here? And so he's menacing already, and then you see him finally, and he's got these, he's got fake hands that are kind of mechanical, and he's and most Bond villains have something weird with them, right? So
Right.
that's his trope is that he's got these mechanical hands, and he's just effectively the super genius that has just outsmarted everybody. And so he presents as a good villain. He falls victim of the same trope that always happens, which is I'm gonna kill you later.
Now,
Effectively,
granted, this was the first one, so it wasn't a trope yet. It kind of establishes the trope. And it's one of those things where you just have to suspend your disbelief, because if they just shot James Bond, then the movie would be over.
Sure,
a
they
valid
have
point.
to, but you can creatively figure out.
Yes.
So, like I thought,
Well-
the initial was creative, where they said, "I'm keeping you alive because you actually are clever. To find me out here, you're really clever, and I actually think that you might like what we're doing here." 'Cause
Right.
I figured out that I was too clever for people, and that's why I joined this thing. So maybe you want to join, and he spits in his face, and then that's when, at my point of watching, I was like, and this is the point where you really should kill him, like because he's now, and I forget even what he said as to why he threw him in the prison cell.
It's one of those things where it's like he wants to gloat.
Yeah, it's the idea of the villain monologuing.
Yeah,
He
and
wants to
The
monologue.
Incredibles takes the piss out of it.
Yeah.
But the reality is, again, it has to do less with them being like, oh, and I'll write this character like this, and more be like, well, if they just pull out a gun and shoot James Bond, then the movie is over. So I
Yeah.
need them to kind of make this dumb decision,
Right.
or be like way too confident. So it's kind of like people will say, oh, Last Jedi, why did he give them the real Death Star plans? And that's like because the Emperor was so absolutely certain that he could not lose.
Yeah. Well, and I was mentioning this because I think that for the most part the movie does a good job. It's really just that one little section where again it happens in every James Bond movie where he kind of has this opportunity to kill him and he just throws him in jail instead.
Yeah.
He inevitably breaks out of the prison, finds his way into some people. I love how it like this is just a consistent thing. It's just a bad guy. He just punches him out and just like takes something. Another bad guy and just like every bad
With
guy
the
that comes
same
around
sound
the
effect.
corner,
Just
it's
glass
just a punch and they're down and it's great. I love it because he's just like punch, oh another one, punch, another one, punch. Okay, now we're moving on to that, and I'm like that's so great. Just the bad guys are always just sitting there, hands open, but he he makes his way, gets his suit or whatever, sneaks his way into this machine and overloads it. Where then Dr. No goes up to fight him and then ends up falling into the boiling water and then he escapes this thing after before it blows up. I thought that the story itself was, I think spy movies. We watched Man from UNC, LA, Man from Uncle, which is a
So good.
more modern movie. It's got Armie Hammer and Jason Cavill,
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. Sorry,
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill, whatever you can pronounce it.
What am I listening to?
I don't know.
Okay, Henry.
How much of that martini
Cavill.
did you have?
You stirred it. You didn't shake it. Henry Cavill, and it's just. I mean, it's a fine movie. It's a spy movie, but it's just fun. Like spy movies, I think are just. It was watching that movie that I realized I'm caring less and less about the details of this movie and more. It's just an enjoyable genre.
Yeah.
And I think we experienced that too when watching all the Mission Impossibles, where we were like, most of these, if they're not clown shows, are like, which the second one was, are just fun and they can range to be really, really good. Because if you do add those other elements of like, hey, on top of just being a really fun genre, we're going to really put effort into making a dynamic villain. He's not going to do stupid things. The main character is going to have depth and a character arc. The side characters are going to make sense. And the plot itself is going to have a message that carries through. Well, now you've got like an incredible movie, which I thought the third Mission Impossible was. So I think that the genre of spy movies is just an underrated one that's always going to be fun. Like, so I enjoyed it, even though I was just like, all right, what is he going to do next? What cool device or
and then
thing is he
and the
going to
next
scheme
things
up?
they start adding in Q and the interesting gadgets, and
Yeah.
they usually only get one use, but they're still like really fun to see like what clever things did they devise, and most of them are like fairly practical, other than the laser watches and things like that.
Right.
It's like, oh, this pen has like this cigarette has a bullet in it if you like shoot it right. So one thing that I really like, and this is pretty consistent across the James Bond films, is that very rarely does he stumble or luck into information. He is always doing the legwork. Now, a lot of times it gets him in trouble because he pushes it too far, but he is always going and pursuing the next lead and actively getting the information. He's very rarely does he passively stumble into something by like, oh, I just happened to overhear the bad guy saying, I'm going to launch my missile from Mount St.
Right.
Helens or whatever.
No, I think especially the first Associate Doctor No was an awesome watch for that reason.
Yeah. So, so final thoughts. So, just as a personal opinion, I loved the movie. I think it's an older movie. There's going to be some lackluster parts that I could not get past.
The bullet
the
noises.
sound effects that it was.
The bullet noise was the
It's so
first.
weird.
It was as if there was just no knowledge of, and again, not just the silencers, because there's a time where like all movies do this thing where they're like a silencer is just like, and I'm like, a real silencer is like incredibly loud. It's just more of a click than a pop. It's like, but like it's really loud
still
still.
loud.
Yeah.
And so, but even the times when the silencer wasn't on it, it was just like, and I'm like, what is?
I fired my gun and it just goes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry.
The bullet
really
sounds
bad. but-
they never got them right.
Yeah. So, in general, I really enjoyed it. It was an enjoyable watch. I couldn't get past very minute things.
Well, and
the
at
sound
the
effects
end,
being
there's a
most
lot
it.
of bullet noises.
Yes, there's a lot of bullet noises, but even still, it was like the punching sounds and like the glass breaking, and it sounded like freaking
definitely-
Mount St. Helens was falling into my living room when I was
a lot
watching
of it was
and it was
dated.
like
Yeah.
I don't.
It does
that-
get
and again,
it does
it's
get
an
better in
older
the
movie.
other movies.
It's an older movie. I chalked it up to that, and because of that, I enjoyed the movie. There was just certain parts that I was just
Yeah,
like,
you're just like
"Ugh."
you're like woof.
Yeah. So I'll open it up to the rest of you guys for final thoughts on this movie.
Yeah, I can see in watching that movie why at the time he would just be such an infectious character that you'd want to see more of, that you couldn't wait to see what James Bond does next. I mean, he does all the things that that a man would he's all those stereotypes. He's wanted by every woman he's around. He lives a dangerous lifestyle. He's very respected in his field. He's very good at what he does, and he beats people up. Like so, it's the hyper masculine version. So I can understand why, especially at the time, and I understand where newer versions would also be appealing. Why the character is just so cool, and for me, it's coming up with a character like that. Like I've only ever known a world that James Bond existed in. And it was cool to be like, hey, he didn't exist and somebody put him into, I know he's in books before this, but like somebody put him on screen this well. And it was really the first time people were introduced to him. And so I thought that element of it being the first one was just really, really cool.
Yeah. And it launched a franchise that exists to this day.
Yeah, it's a super well-known franchise. So between that, I mean, the score is just like
Really
It's
good.
it's
Oh,
real.
yeah.
His main theme has got to be up
so
there with
good.
some of the best. I mean, just hearing it in the movie on repeat in that first one, man, it hits so hard every time. It's a banger.
It's so memorable.
Yeah.
Like even
You know it
as an
instantly.
individual that, like I said, I haven't watched them all, but if I heard it,
Of course,
I
know
could
what it is.
instantaneously know it's him. It's James Bond.
Yeah. So I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I would watch it with somebody who's interested in watching a James Bond movie. It's fun. It's exciting. So yeah.
I think it's one of the weaker. So Sean Connery's in like 6 movies. I think it's one of the weaker ones, but because it's the first one, all of its weaknesses are like super forgivable. And I think it still has legs. I think it's still a good watch.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So, let's go.
To the 5.
Let's go. You want to go straight to the 5 this time?
Was there something else you wanted to do?
Well, I was going to do the Rotten Tomatoes, but let's do the
right,
straight.
right, right.
No, let's do
Are
the
there
5.
Rotten Tomatoes for this?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. There's. Of course there are. Yeah. Let's do the 5.
All right.
So, who did it? Greg,
did the
you were
synopsis.
Let's go ahead and go with you. So, just to kind of give you the viewers an idea of what's happening. So, I'm going to give a category, or it's going to be a category of things that you're going to be ranking without
You
knowing
can tell
what's
me
come
now
next.
and then explain it.
The category is going to be alcoholic beverages.
Oh, let's go. Corona is number 5.
So this
Family.
this would be if you are going to a bar and you are ordering a generic drink. That's the category.
Okay.
Mixed drinks only, or
Just
guess
drinks. I will let
drinks.
you
Drinks from a
decide
bar.
what you think is coming next. And the first one, a beer.
Any beer?
Any beer. A beer. If you go to the bar and you say, I want a beer.
beer. Beer. I want a
It's
beer.
definitely safe though, like because there definitely are cocktails that I'd be like, I'd rather just a beer than that. Like there's probably some bad ones. So but I think there's probably gonna be enough cocktails I like over it. I'll put it at 4.
That's what I was thinking 4 as well.
Interesting.
I was
Okay.
thinking 3 would be the really safe one, but honestly,
I'm sure there's
I
gonna be
think 4.
one that I don't like as much as beer.
Okay. All right. The next one, vodka cranberry.
Vodka cram is a fine drink. I've had a few vodka cranberries. I was on a plane one time and got bumped to first class when I was like 17.
Oh, look at
and I
you.
looked around and the guy next to me just ordered a drink and I was just like, "Give me a vodka cranberry."
Hello,
And they
police.
gave me
I'm calling
one.
911. They're
And
on
it
their
was
way
one
right
of the
now.
first times I had a drink, and I mean,
Yes,
I
underage drinking. He's
I
right
didn't
there.
even like it. It was just like because I could. I'm gonna put vodka cran at a 3.
Okay.
5 for me. I don't like anything
So
with vodka in it.
4 and 3 are taken.
Yeah,
Your next is a rum and coke.
rum and coke is really, really solid.
good.
I mean, you can't go wrong with a rum and coke. I can't drink them late because they've got caffeine. But man, it is really a solid drink. It's honestly just like a Coke, and lots of times the rum just makes it taste even better. It's a little more sweet, adds a lot of flavor to it. It's 1 or 2.
Given that Marco made this list, I know where I'm putting it for me.
I'm gonna put it at 2.
You're putting it at 2.
I'm also going to
Yeah.
put it at 2 because you
Okay.
made this list.
I just hate leaving 5 and 1.
It is a rough go, and I actually, weirdly enough, I actually believe you did a really good job because I know where you're putting this next one, which is an old fashioned.
That'll be 1.
That's going to be 1, which
Okay.
leaves your final and number 5 item is wine, being number
Wow,
5.
that's
I think
great.
you did a phenomenal
I
job.
nailed that.
I think you
I
did a
nailed
great
that.
job.
I'm okay with wine being above beer. Like wine and beer, I could flip, but vodka cranberry being 5 for me makes the most sense.
Yeah.
So I think
I think you did a
pretty
great
much did
job.
that as well.
And knowing you, I've drank with you before. You know, it's one of those things. I don't know if I've ever seen you drink wine, so there's that.
Only with the ladies.
So never.
That's
So-
so not that.
So,
often.
anyways, so not often. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and we're gonna guess between the both of you. I want you guys to work together on this one, and it's going to be the Rotten Tomatoes rating for the Tomato Meter, which is the critics score.
Now, I have a question about this. Are these like did they go back, because Rotten Tomatoes obviously has not been around for that many years? Did they go back and look at old critic reviews, or are these just like new critic reviews?
I don't know the answer to that, and I apologize.
Drastically change the
I
results.
think I agree with you, but in this particular case, I don't think it really makes any difference. To be honest,
That's a
personal
feel like
opinion.
everything has been higher than I've thought.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Well, I'm gonna call it an 89.
89, that feels high to me. Why don't we go with 80?
Let's meet in the middle.
Yeah.
84, 85.
Yeah, sure.
84.
That
so
feels high.
84 or 85.
84.
84.
Either way, you're wrong.
Okay, that feels high.
Actually, it's really, really low.
Yeah, I was going to say a James Bond movie for modern critics is going to be like I
No,
want to
he's
guess like
saying it's low.
No. You guys guessed really low.
Oh,
it's
we
really
guessed low.
high.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so it's like a 95?
Yes, it's
Wow.
actually a
It's
95.
It's always
But
higher
that,
than
again,
I think.
and because in my brain, and I realize this is not the case. In my brain, I'm like, you're rating it from on a scale of 1 to 10, but that's not what it is.
No, it's not
It's
that.
rating
It's
it. It's
yes
it's saying
or no.
Right.
90% of people gave it a thumbs up. That totally tracks for me.
Yes.
Because it's a good James Bond movie.
Right.
And it's the first James Bond movie.
Yep. So now that the critic score is up, I'm going to put you against each other and say, each of you figure out a number for the viewers or the popcorn
You
I
said,
got mine.
You said the critics was 95. Yeah.
95 was the critic.
Okay, I have mine. I'm gonna say 96.
You know, 90.
Wow, both of you guys are wrong again in the opposite direction this time. The viewer score is 82.
Okay.
So it's much lower. Which, to be completely honest, if it were me guessing, I would have actually flipped those two numbers.
Yeah.
And I'd have been like, man, the critics are probably pretty low on this because woke and liberalism and weirdness that is Hollywood.
Honestly.
And then the viewers probably were like shooting really high, which I'm actually impressed
I
with.
think
that.
it's flipped because the critics are like, oh, it's timely, it's classic.
Yeah.
And the
Sure.
viewers are like, this movie's old and it sucks. They're Liam.
They're Liam. The viewers are Liam. It's all Liam.
It's all Liam's fault. Well, that's that. Let's
personal
go.
rating?
Yeah,
20,
personal
18%
ratings.
Liam.
I guess I can start with it.
Yeah.
Again, I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah.
There were some definite things that I didn't like, i.e., the sound effects. I can't get past that. Sorry, guys. I'm
is hard.
so sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
61. That's what I'm going to give it. I think it's a solid movie. It is a rewatchable movie. Anything, in my opinion, over that 50 mark is
Yeah.
going to be rewatchable.
I agree.
61. That's what I'm giving it.
I'm gonna give it a 70.
I'm going to give it a 69 because it's sexy.
Nice.
Perfect.
But yeah, I like around a 70.
Yeah,
It's a fun movie. It's very watchable. It's not like this will blow your mind at how
It
good
doesn't-
it is. It's
doesn't
just
do-
it's just a solid movie.
Aside from being a very good example of character writing in James Bond specifically, there's really no other characters that develop themselves.
Sure.
Other than a little bit of Dr. No, they establish him pretty well with how they introduce him. Other than that being very impressive, nothing is that impressive, but there's nothing about it that you don't like. I mean, I think the characters act like they should, and the story is very cut and dry. A few silly moments, but other than that, it was fine. So I would say 70.
It's 69. It's a
So,
solid movie.
unfortunately, you guys kind of ruined my surprise for you.
Uh-oh.
I was going to do a trivia game, but one of the first things you guys said or asked me was about the casino game. So I was going to start, giving you guys trivia questions about just general James Bond movies, and I had 3 of them ready to go, and you guys have already brought up 2 of them. So there's that. So my only question to you guys that that I was going to ask outside of the casino game that they played, which was a variation of Baccarat, and what is the gun that he is most known for, and Walter
already answered
PBK
that.
has already been answered. So the last one, which I believe both of you should get, but if not, pretty close. How many actors have played James Bond?
Nathaniel's going to get it, of course.
I think 5.
Wow, you're wrong.
Okay, hold on. Are you including the Casino Royale one?
That's
The Peter Sellers one?
With
That would be
Pink
6.
Panther.
No.
Casino Royale, the non-Eon
So
one?
I've picked it up from ChatGPT because again I'm not
okay.
I'm not a
So, well, let me go through them. it was Sean Connery, then George Lazenby, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan, Daniel Craig. Sorry, that's 6. And then technically Peter Sellers is 7.
Interesting. So Barry Nelson played him in a 1954 TV adaptation. So you know what?
Nah, I don't count
So
that.
you know
Hit it
what?
with
I
the
will give it. Yeah,
horn.
that's a. I did not. My apologies. I did not read these through all the way through. I just assumed that
You got
ChatGPT would know.
ChatGPT'd.
I did get ChatGPT'd, and I
Congratulations.
apologize.
You played
Please
yourself.
forgive me. And
But it should be 7. Okay, 6 if you're not including
Correct.
the weird one.
Correct.
7 if you include the weird one.
Correct.
Which let me talk while we're transitioning. Let me talk about that one. So there are 2. So the main guy who started producing these films is named Albert Broccoli.
Classic broccoli.
Let's talk
what
about
a
that.
name.
The dude's name is Broccoli. I mean,
Please
come
tell
on.
me.
Abe Brock.
Please tell me he has a broccoli head for haircut.
I don't know. That
What's
would
the
be a
guy's name again?
Albert Broccoli. I think he's passed at this point. So Albert Broccoli produces Dr. No, and then Dr. No does pretty well. It was surprising, but it does pretty well. And so he forms a production company to basically do all the James Bond production companies. They're like, we want to make more of these. So he forms a production company called Eon. Eon goes on to produce every single James Bond film that has ever been made, with 2 exceptions. One is Never Say Never Again, which is the one we're about to do. So I'll hold off the trivia on that one for a second. But the second one was in 1967 because they optioned a bunch of the Ian Fleming novels. They did not option the first one, Casino Royale, which is why you don't get a Casino Royale until Daniel Craig. There was a movie, there was a spin-off movie, or it was almost a parody of James Bond at this point, because there were 2 or 3 James Bond movies out at this point, called Casino Royale, with Peter Sellers, who was the original Pink Panther, as James Bond. The enemy thing is called SMERSH, S-M-E-R-S-H. Don't ask me what it stands for. I do not remember. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it ends. Also, it turns out the bad guy is his nephew, Jimmy Bond.
What? That's weird.
It's James Bond, and his nephew
The
is
name's Bond.
Jimmy Bond.
Jimmy Bond.
It's
Well,
bad. But it ends with they get in this fight in this casino, and it ends with the bomb in the casino detonating. They all die, and the very last image is them as ghosts with harps flying up to heaven. That's the end of the movie. It's so weird.
Yeah,
It's so
this
weird.
So to give you guys an idea, this is Albert Broccoli.
He looks like an Albert.
He does
He looks
look
like an Albert,
he
and he looks like Broccoli.
kind of, yeah.
My name is Abe Broccoli.
He's
Friends
British,
call me
so he'd be
Abe
like,
Brock.
"Oh, I'm Albert Broccoli, isn't it?
They call me Albert Broccoli.
The name's Broccoli. Albert Broccoli."
Give me the broccoli. Shove it all the way down my throat.
But anyways, he was succeeded by his daughter, Barbara Broccoli, who just sold the rights to James Bond to Amazon for like $1 billion. And Amazon and I think they pseudo-reversed it, they airbrushed all the guns out of all the James Bond posters.
Oh no.
And people were
they're
like,
just like-
yeah, they're literally like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Where they're all pointing at Kaiba. And I'm like, what the hell? Why would you? It's James Bond. No one's going in there and going like, oh my goodness, he has a gun. Is he a Second Amendment rights activist? I can't watch this with my children.
That's one of the greatest things ever.
what the hell?
Is in the animated cartoon series Yu-Gi-Oh, where like the American version
It's censored.
It's just like there's this scene where even when you watch it as a kid, you're so confused as to what's happening. In the original, it's like these guards come up to one of the characters, Kaiba, to take his brother, and they like pull their guns out. They're like drop him right now. And in the series, when you watch it as a kid, they're like
pointing at him.
drop it right now. And he's like, what do I do? And you're sitting there like, they're just pointing, at you, dude.
Like, what do you?
And he's like, I've got to go. And he drops the kid. They're like, all right, get him out of here. And then I'm like, why were they all pointing like that?
It's so funny.
It is hysterical. I find that so funny.
That is too funny. All right, so moving on to Never Say Never Again.
Never say never again.
And the number, the very
Nathaniel.
much smaller number
Oh, boy.
between 10 and 30 is going to be 14. So you have 14 seconds.
Think about it.
You have 14 seconds to give a synopsis of the movie Never Say Never Again. And as you are thinking about it, I'm going to set this up
I'm ready.
on my thing here. So let's do 14 seconds
Nathaniel
on the
is
clock.
pretty good with this stuff.
Yeah, Nathaniel is pretty good. This whole one sentence ordeal that he's got. So 14 seconds
Four
on the
brothers.
clock. Are
Finally got to
you
beat them
ready,
all.
sir? 3, 2, 1, start.
Spectre steals 2 nuclear warheads. A guy named Largo has them on his boat. James Bond befriends Largo's girlfriend. They disarm one of the bombs that's under the president, and then they chase Largo down and get the other bomb and kill him. The end.
Wow.
Impressive. Very
And
impressive.
so, what's interesting about this movie is this I actually found out today while I was doing research for this movie. Because again, Never Say Never Again was the other non-Eon production, and the reason is because the book that it's based off, Thunderball, was written by Ian Fleming and another guy, and the other guy had rights to it. So the other guy made a movie, and they decided to cast Sean Connery in it. Sean Connery had already done Thunderball. So Sean Connery is in 2 movies based off Thunderball that have basically the same plot.
Really?
Yes. So the original Sean Connery run, one of the movies is Thunderball, and it's basically the same. Spectre steals 2 nuclear warheads, and he has to chase Largo onto the boat. And the girl's name is Domino. Although in the Thunderball movie, the boat is like this weird hydrofoil thing, so it just like jumps up on it. It's like, nyeh! It's actually wackier than Never Say Never Again, except for the missile part, which we'll get to. And the reason it's
And
called
the laser video game.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that was so weird. And the reason it's called Never Say Never Again is because apparently, after Sean Connery finished his run, he was asked, "Would you ever play James Bond again?" And he said, "Never again."
And they're like,
And they
"Never say
got him
never
back,
again."
and so they said never. And they called it Never Say Never Again because they got him to play Bond again in a movie that he had already done. It's just so weird. It's so weird.
Man.
This movie came out at the exact same. So it came out in 1983, the same year that Roger Moore's movie Octopussy came out, which is not really great. It's very good. It's the Roger Moore ones. They range from like Dr. No levels of goof to is this a parody level of goof? The Roger Moore ones dial everything up to about 1 million. The sexiness, like every single Roger Moore intro music video is silhouetted buck-ass naked women. Like you can see the nipples. Like they're just, but they're silhouetted, so it's technically not
Connery
nudity.
banged 4 girls in this one.
Yes,
That is true.
That's-
Roger Moore is
think it's
even
more?
Yes, it's more. Wow. Roger Moore is like humping a woman in every single scene. It's
Four
wild.
felt like every woman that walked past Sean Connery, he ended up banging. Like it felt like a lot. So
It was a lot.
I can't imagine any more than that. Is just
It was a lot. And Roger Moore is like even sexier.
good old Raj.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I think Pierce Brosnan is my second favorite is because they did kind of update. They kept the general formula, dialed the goofiness back just a little bit, not a lot. They dialed the goofiness and the sexiness back to more of the Sean Connery levels.
Yeah.
But then made everything a little bit more futuristic, and so I think the Brosnan ones work really well. And of course you have Sean Bean dying, which is always a plus.
Sean Bean, what a man.
Yeah. Go ahead, Greg.
Give us a category.
Yeah, so let's
dive
jump
here.
into let's just go right into the characters.
Yeah.
The acting and the characters, and then we'll get into score because anyways, actors and characters.
So this one presents the same deal. You have the main baddie, who really the main baddie is Spectre, but he doesn't even get caught at the end. Like they don't even address him. It's one of his stooges that he's.
I think he's supposed to be his number 2.
Okay, so he's one of his main dudes that goes and steals he's the main bad guy. He is a
weird
silly German character.
Weird dude.
Who introduces as weird. One, just because he's not an appealing looking guy, where it's like you can kind of gather that Sean Connery gets these girls, but this guy, his girlfriend is gorgeous and she's just dancing in a see-through pink leotard.
That was weird too. Like,
which is like you're just casually
Greg
walking
and I were
around
like-
with your nipples
yeah,
out.
Greg
just
and I were like, "Oh my
"What?
gosh,
What
you
do
can see
think
her
of me,
whole
honey?"
ass
I'm like,
nipple. What is going on here?"
Hey, maybe put some clothes on. And he's just like, they're just like ferociously
And he's like doing that
making
weird
out
like
as soon as
voyeur
he-
stuff when she's like doing her aerobics thing.
Yeah.
There's some weird stuff in this movie.
He's a strange character. All 4 of the women are effectively just there to be meat shields. I mean, the most interesting one being the fisherman girl who really assists him in a very big way, and then is just like dead, and they just like move on to the next scene. He's just like, I don't forgot her name, but he's just like, "Hey, where are you, Cynthia?" Whatever, and then she's just dead in the bed, like in the waterbed, drowned in the waterbed, I think is the. And then he just like turns and runs off, and after the girl, like, and you never go back and address it. You're just like, "Oh yeah,"
Which to be fair, Blush, the sadomasochistic girl, had a pretty high kill count in that movie.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah, she killed
The
Dude,
weirdest one being the driving next to her, tossing
That
a snake.
crap
Okay, so
is
this is one of the things where, okay, so
My God,
if you haven't seen this movie, what I'm about to describe is going to sound like I took acid and then looked at a wall for 10 minutes.
So, real quick, before you get into this, I want to tell you my reaction and my wife next to me.
You watch this with your
I'm in
wife? That's amazing.
She was reading a book. She's not paying no attention. I'm sitting there. I'm watching. I'm getting a chuckle here and there from little things, and then this scene happened, which he's about to describe, and I am cackling, dying laughing. And mind you, I was watching this at probably 11:30 at night when this was happening, and my wife was like, I'm trying to get tired. Stop laughing so much. I was dying laughing at this scene. It was so funny. I apologize. Go ahead and
Okay,
describe it.
So the movie kind of opens with there's this James Bond is old, and what's really funny is they kind of play off the idea that James Bond is getting older, and they're kind of retiring the 00 names, and so they send him off to this basically rehabilitation place, and they keep making jokes about colonics and herbal enemas and things like that. And it's funny because he still gets some, but he is like getting the chiropractor where they're just like at the skeleton, they're just like snapping it in half. But while he's there, he runs into this. He sees across the hall like this room, and there's this guy. I think his name is Jack Patachi, and he's getting like assaulted by this nurse, and then like kissing this nurse. He's like, "What's going on here?" And it turns out that he has been brainwashed / blackmailed by Spectre. They gave him an eye implant, so his eye has the same retinal scan as the president. And he's on this submarine. The submarine's doing like 2 cruise missile nuclear test runs. And so he uses the retinal implant to basically
Switch them
hack
out
into the system and swap out the dummy warheads for real warheads, which then get hijacked by Spectre. So that's how they get their warheads.
Yeah.
Well, in order to clean this up, Jack Patachi is going on a drive, and the evil girl, whose name is Blush, Jack Patachi's just driving along, and she pulls up next to him in a convertible with like the ridiculous head looking like Cruella de Vil. Laughs, is like he laughs, and he's like, oh, rolls down the window. She picks up a giant snake, like python, just yeets it into the window, and he starts freaking out, loses control of his car,
drives into a ramp
drives
him into a building.
conveniently placed ramp, and crashes through a stone wall into like the army base, and is like upside down in the car. Blush casually walks up, takes the snake back, walks away, clicks a button, and detonates the C4 that was in the car. And I'm like, first off, did you not know that guns exist? Second off, why the snake if you were just going to blow him up? It's just absurd. It's like 2-minute long scene of him killing this guy, and it's like, you could have done that instantly. It's just
one of the
so
silliest
silly.
things where she like, because even the part where it's like it's her driving next to him, you're like, okay, this checks out. They're both like, I mean, if you've ever driven next to somebody, it's a weird, awkward moment of like they're accelerating, you're, and then she just kind of like casually rolls up next to him and like doesn't throw it. She just like reaches into his car and sets it in there, and then just drives away. And like even that whole exchange was like cartoon levels of comedy, and it's just like a ball
so
python.
funny.
It's a very normal snake. I mean, a snake would do nothing to you. Even if it bit you perpetually, it would just feel like a stinging, like there's no venom of it. So maybe he doesn't know, but like, of course, it causes him to panic and hit a ramp that shoots him into a building.
It was.
And then she's like, "Oh, my poor baby." I'm like, "You put the snake in the car to make him crash. How are you supposed to?"
Yeah.
And then she blows him up.
And then she just blows him up. And I'm like, "Why did you lead with that?" It's like Resident
And
Evil.
it wouldn't be the first time that she sent an animal to kill something and then blows him up instead afterwards, because it happens again a second time.
Oh, we forgot in Dr. No that he does try. He sent when you find out about Dr. No the first time, the archaeologist guy or the rock guy goes and's like, we're James Bond's a problem. He's like,
the
sit. And he's
spider.
like, look on the table, and there's like a little cage with a spider, and he's like, kill him tonight. And it's like, okay, again, you have guns. We've seen you shoot people. Why not just shoot him? So they put a snake, and so literally James Bond just like sitting there sweating as a spider crawls, and then he just slaps it with a shoe, and that's it. And you're like, okay, that was a bad plan.
James Bond versus the spider.
Oh my God! And the sound, the
yeah, so
score
good.
that was
I
built
loved it.
around that
Oh my
scene
gosh, it was so good.
was so funny. He hit it, and it was just like this, like all the cymbals
Like
and
horror
the brass.
shriek, just
and then he hit him like 3 more times. Bam, bam, bam.
So good. So good. They just don't make movies like that anymore, man. It's a shame. But anyways, back to Never Say Never Again. So that happens, and you're like,
Wait, what?
why what were we doing here, man? And then, of course, she like drowns someone in a waterbed. Again, guns apparently don't work. And then the
shark things, which let me explain. I'll take on the shark situation. So first off, she meets James Bond and is like, he's just like, oh, you're hot. Maybe we could go and do things together. So they make love. She takes him out in a boat. She's like, oh, you're looking for things in the water. I can take you out in the water. So they go out, they're swimming in the water. And then at first sight, she gets behind him and he's not looking at her. She attaches what everybody in the audience assumes is a bomb of some kind to his suit.
Scuba
Right?
tank.
It's like beeping, and she swims away, and you're like, okay, clever. We'll see how James gets into this one. It's not a bomb. It's some kind of radar device that sends out a radio wave that draws these sharks in after him. So now he's in this shipwreck, and these big tiger sharks start swimming after him. I will say, the prosthetic
honestly,
sharks,
really impressive.
like I said it several times where I'm like, that's a real shark, and it wasn't, like, because then it would do ridiculous things. It'd just be like ramming into a thing and like not moving at all. But I'm like, that is about as good of a prosthetic shark as I've ever seen. And it was tons of these shark scenes mixed in with a couple real shots of a shark swimming off. So I thought that whole thing, I'm like, if you tried to do this right now, it would look worse, and that's impressive to say.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm sure it cost them a ton of money. I'm sure filming that was a huge pain. If you've looked at any of the headaches for filming the original Jaws, like how insane it was to get those things in the water and to do them and how long that took, I'm sure this was way more wear than it's worth. However, it came out to look really good. Now, granted,
absurd,
if
but
you
it looked
step
really
back
good.
and you read what's happening, she just swims away and assumes that sharks swimming towards this noise are gonna kill him, and so then he eventually just takes the little beeper off and then swims away and finds his way to Fisherman Lady. Oh no, wait.
Yeah.
One of the sharks swims by and just like cuts his oxygen. Swims off, and you just see his little mask, his little breathing tank thing fall, and it's just this perfect cut right on the thing, just drops. And I'm like, damn, that shark knew exactly what it was doing.
Shark is like, you gotta die slow, motherfucker. And then on that same thing, the way he hooks up with Fisherman Lady is he starts swimming to the surface, sees a fish hook, sees a boat, and he's like, grabs the fish hook, and it's like
it happens to be this woman that he saw on shore and flirted with, and then he's out in the ocean, pretty big place the last time I checked, and she happens to be fishing at the exact spot. He grabs it. He's like, oh, it looks like
you did say you would catch me later.
Say you would catch me later.
One of the funniest things about that scene, also the fact that it was outlandish in and of itself, but it was like almost like an insta-cut from when the lure happened and he kind of saw it. And she kind of was like, she was reeling it in, and it was literally like set. He's at the surface of the water, and he's like, and I was like, wait, what? Wait, how'd you get there? It was so fast.
That was obviously ridiculous
He smelled
too.
the pussy.
And so then moments later, Blush realizes he's alive, and then it's like, oh, I need to actually place a bomb. And Nathaniel and I were watching it, and I'm like, if this little indicator thing just draws in monkeys with knives, that would be so
like,
great.
no, what's going to
They're all
happen
just
is
clicking on the windows.
He's going to go to draw a bath, and a shark's just going to be like, rah!
It's still drawing sharks in. That's their only card they can play. Is like, this thing brings sharks in. Like, we don't know.
It's literally like the Lego movie where it's like sharks, lasers, laser sharks. That's what we're dealing with here.
I mean, it was those parts made the movie so silly, along with, and I would say the third silliest thing, which wasn't as bad, but like the video game whole sequence was just so long because it's clearly like the game he describes it. He's like, oh, you have to shoot these lasers at the squares and they give you money, and then you have 2 missiles. And so I'm like, well, he's taking some time to describe it. Maybe the game will make sense when we see it. No, the game's just like, you lose. And you lose. And I'm like, well, why did you take this time explaining it? Show us playing the game 4 times or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then it really did nothing. He's like, I'll take a dance with your girlfriend. And he's like, done. And he walks off, like, because he's like, I've got to pay you however many hundreds of thousands of dollars.
200 and some odd.
Which apparently is like 2/3 of what the world is worth. So, according to the game, the world was worth like $325,000. I'm like, that seems fairly cheap.
Those
even
are
at
the
that time.
3 moments that I was like, there's no wonder that people look at this movie and they're like, this one's really silly. And those are the very clear moments And then, well, sorry, I missed this one. Yeah, okay. This one will take way before the video game would be. There is a point, and Nathaniel and I are watching this. Nathaniel's seen this a long time ago.
I've seen it fairly recently,
And
I had forgotten this part.
And James Bond goes up to the sub operator guy and he goes, do you have clearance for blah, 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 blah. Says some kind of spy
Literally like
stuff.
XK9.
And he's like, no one's supposed to know about that. And he just looks at it and he's like, well, if I hadn't intercepted it on the Russian transmission, I would have. So then you're assuming there's going to be some cool device that happens, some useful device to the plot. And there's 2 torpedoes that are launched from this sub.
Two like massive missiles. They look like Saturn rockets.
These things shoot up out of the water, and you're like, "Ooh, what's going to happen here?" And the shells just disintegrate off of these rockets to reveal Sean Connery and his partner on these weird, like it's like a mixture between a dolly and a jetpack. That they're just like it's like this
so
rickety thing
weird.
that they're riding that effectively just lands them on shore right there where they like. I'm like, why not just swim out of the sub and you would have been on shore?
And then they immediately put scuba gear on and jump into the water.
I didn't even notice that. Now that you say that is hilarious. I thought that I thought the same thing when it came to this rocket thing, and I'm like, what in the world? It was right there, and then I didn't even put 2 and 2 together that they literally just landed and they were right back in the water.
Like they could have
What
just
was the point?
they could have put the scuba gear on and just swam out of the sub.
It would have been faster because
Oh,
it took them
man.
forever to land.
And it was
so
like
funny.
it's this again a long and awkward moment where there's like all these people on the beach kind of like freaking out like and then they land and they just get out, get their equipment on, and they go into the water. There was so many of those moments. Again,
man.
there's 4 that I can think of right there that were just they're very clearly like. At the time, this movie was going to be like, let's do something impressive that let's just have the bad guy throw a snake at him, and that'll be the scary bad thing and let's have them come out in these jetpacks, but they had nothing else. They're like, how do you want to connect it to the plot? It doesn't matter. Well, we forgot about that whole jetpack thing. Just have them come out of it, but they're still in the water. Well, then they get back in the water. Okay,
That works.
I mean, so
we need a pitch meeting for this one. It's just so absurd.
There was those levels of it were definitely made the movie silly, but as you've mentioned, James Bonds are kind of in that realm of silliness anyways. And so for me, it didn't like if I watched Mission Impossible, and Mission Impossible 2 is kind of on this level of silly. Like it is so bad when you talk about sound effects and just like sheer like not caring and putting effort into a movie. Mission Impossible 2. However, Mission Impossible 2 or Mission Impossible, the whole series, seeks to be very serious and grounded. Like it's a cool. It's not like the James Bonds that are kind of a little bit campy and a little bit fun and a little goofy. Whereas this didn't affect me as much, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would put this lower on the levels of James Bond movies because
absurd.
I'm like, it's so silly to the point of a parody. But
it was still kind of fun to watch.
It did. I was like, okay, whatever, cool. They're doing something stupid. Like, this is James Bond. Like, how is he going to make out with his girl? And move on
by
to
the way,
next scene?
the main girl's name is Domino.
Oh yeah,
Because you know what? When you name your son Jack, you name your daughter Domino.
Yep, that checks out. So again,
Yahtzee,
I go
sit
back to the
Monopoly, you're grounded.
So I go back to the sound effects because I just couldn't get past it in the first one. Comically though, I liked the sound effects in the first in Dr. No over the other over Never Say Never, and I think a lot of it had to do with the 4-minute scenes when they were doing radars, and it was just this screeching.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And it was like
some of that
4
stuff
minutes,
lasted
and I'm like,
so
Bert, just
long.
shut it
Hello?
off, dude.
Yeah.
When they're bringing the missiles in, it's like
Oh my God! It was, and then like you were saying
sigh.
before with the video game, that video game thing,
Oh,
it
dude.
was like 4 or 5 times that they played
They
this
played
game.
it 4 times.
Yeah,
and
it was 4 times. The
just
one time was
loud
I
and-
didn't explain it right, and then they played the 3 times, 2 that he lost, and then the world
Yeah.
that he won. And that whole time, the sound effects were just
so
like
bad.
way up here, and the talking points were here, and I'm like, I'm trying
the
to
voice
like
saying,
turn it down
"Shield
during that time, and then turn
deflected,
it up. Oh, it was so
missile
bad.
launched."
And again, I go back to the idea that my wife was literally sitting right next to me, trying to read her book, concentrate on her book, trying to
the
get
hell is
whatever.
that?
She's looking over like, what in the world is that?
Shut it up! Stop! Make it stop!
And she really is great. She wasn't actually yelling at me. She was literally just like, what the hell is that? Like I could not understand what is going on. But anyways, yeah, I thought I'd.
But what I find interesting about that is, okay, so they go to like this super nice casino party thing, and people are playing like craps and baccarat and all these fancy
just
like,
video
ooh,
games.
And then they slide open this thing, and there's just an arcade.
It's people playing
It's literally
Pac-Man
just
and
like a
stuff.
bunch of people in prom dresses playing
like
Pac-Man
Pac-Man
and
and
Space Invaders. And you know what it was? It's because arcades were like relatively new things. This is the early 80s, so arcades are just
It was, like,
becoming
futuristic
hot things.
type stuff.
And so it's like, for us, we're like, well, that's quaint. That'd be like we go to the White House and or like we go to meet the king of England, and the king was like, oh yes, would you like to play my Nintendo? And pulls out like an NES and is like, oh, it's the latest fashion, right? It seems that absurd to us, but that's like legitimately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this was the thing. And
you can't play
and-
these at home. Like
Yeah.
this is it's a big deal.
And,
It's an
and-
expensive
and if
luxury
you look at
to
like
play this.
rich people parties, they've always indulged in those sort of like new technologies, like when film and things are just starting. And they had the whole Nickelodeon thing where like little cabinets that you could watch very short films in.
Yeah.
And of course, immediately were used for porn, but
Side story.
say la vie. Yeah.
So the story itself is fine. You can dig into every aspect of this, and I'm sure you'll find just gaping holes of why did they do that? Why didn't they just get into the water instead of use the rockets? Even down to the initial how the bad guys got the rockets, where they implant this eye into a guy that they're gonna kill, and then they brainwash him. Then they kill. Even all of that seemed a little like
wouldn't it be
I'm
cheaper
sure
to just buy nuclear bombs from the Russians?
there was a million ways when I was watching
make
it, and I
your
was
own.
like, well, this is clever. Maybe it's not. I was like, no, never mind. This is far too complicated to get these. But the actual the flow of the movie, the character of James Bond, he's effectively how you would picture that character if he got older. He doesn't change, which I think is a big part. Like I think if the character was greatly flawed or different, like if all of a sudden in this one he was just like super dumb or just wasn't really into women or whatever the case is, and you'd go, okay, well, this one doesn't feel like a James Bond movie, I'd have more problems, and I'd be like, okay, well, this is very clearly like a bad one. Whereas this one just suffered more in the way that all James Bond movies suffer, in being a little silly and over the top.
Yeah.
Now, this is like the silliest and most over the top probably, but it didn't, like, his character remained the same. He was consistent.
And I think that's, in James Bond, you're not looking for James Bond to have any character development.
Yeah.
You're there for the gadgets, the flair. It is a showy thing. This is one of the reasons why the Daniel Craig Bond doesn't work for me, because he is very boring.
Yeah.
He's just a sullen, kind of unlikable character. He's just kind of grousy and grouchy, and I don't like him. He's not charming.
Yeah.
And Daniel Craig can be charming, but he's not charming in this movie. And it's one of the reasons why, other than the fact that he has blonde hair and blue eyes, which # not my Bond.
Yeah.
But, like, he just doesn't. He doesn't fit into that archetype of the suave,
he felt
sexy
suave
James Bond
to me.
A little bit in Casino Royale, but in the rest of them, really, he just.
That's probably fair. I don't
Daniel
really
Craig
remember.
just looks very good in a suit,
Yeah.
but he really, like, if you compare how he acts, he's very sullen. Like the very first thing, and now part of it was a jibe at previous Bonds where they're like, Martini, and they're like, shaken or stirred, and he says, why should I give a damn? And I'm like, to me, I was immediately like, oh, I get it. They don't like old Bond.
Yeah.
They're intentionally distancing themselves. And it's one thing to say, I have a slightly different take on it. And it's another thing to say, we don't like the way James Bond was. We're reinventing him. That's why, to me, I don't like Craig as James Bond.
Sure.
Hey, I don't like him.
Damn straight. The worst James Bond movie, in my opinion, is Honor Her Majesty's Secret Service. In this movie, James Bond gets married.
Weird.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, he gets married, and you're like, okay, well, that's kind of an important moment. They probably will just ignore it. So again, Felix Leiter, who's in both movies that we watched, and in both movies, Spectre's the bad guy, or like the bad guy works with Spectre. In both movies, it involves something nuclear. So there's like a lot of parallels between the two movies.
Sure.
But again, so Felix Leiter in Never Say Never Again is black. Felix Leiter in Dr. No is white, and he kind of goes back and forth between those depending on who they got to play him. Which I like. Like nobody cares. They're just like, it's Felix Leiter. You know who this character is. It doesn't really matter who's playing him. I like that. Same with James Bond. It's like, you know who James Bond is. It doesn't really matter who's playing him. But so he gets married. Very end of the movie, they get married. They're on their honeymoon. They're driving down the road. He gets a flat tire. He gets out to fix the flat tire. The bad guys drive by, shoot up the car, and kill his wife. And that's the end of the movie. And I'm like, So you made a change, and then you're like, whoops, we made a change. Let's just reverse it. I'm like, so you just wasted my time.
Doesn't he get married in one of the Daniel Craig ones and she dies, or he just really likes the girl and she dies or something?
I think it's she likes him and she dies, but I don't think she's actually dead. I think she ends up not being dead.
That's right. She was a double agent and she had another husband and she just had to basically gain his trust in order to do this. And she's like, no, I hope you understand.
Let's just say there's a reason there was only one James Bond with George Lazenby. People did not like it.
That's fair.
Okay, so what?
So yeah, so we can get into
Also, the main villain plot involves allergies. It's very stupid.
That's fair. So one of the let's go ahead and just go around the room, just generic thoughts. So one of the things, and I could start. So one of the things that I thought the difference between Dr. No and Never Say Never Again is, as I mentioned before, when it comes to Dr. No, there's implied plot holes. I feel like it's the complete opposite, and almost to the extreme degree that it became kind of obnoxious, that they were trying to tie everything together. Like they tried to explain every single detail about the movie, and it just made the movie incredibly long. There was a point in time when I literally stopped the movie to take a shower and then come back, because it got to the point where I was just like, this is going on forever. Part of it was they were trying to tie in all these different plot pieces, and they were similar to what we were talking about with the rocket going. Like they didn't need to do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, that was very funny.
Hilarious. You know, they were almost explaining too much about the movie to the point where it was like, okay, we get it. Like just make it implied. We get it. But then also the sound effects that were just obnoxious. But yeah, so overall, generally, I would. It was okay. It wasn't great. It was kind of just there.
Yeah.
You know, generic James Bond, but a little bit worse is what I would kind of say.
I think it leans a little too hard on the goofy dial. Yeah. But I think it was. I still enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
But I think it definitely, like, if I were to pick between those two, I would watch Dr. No again before I watched Never Say Never Again.
Yeah. So Nathaniel and I have watched through a lot of series of terrible movies, and one of which is the Halloween. It's just called Halloween, right? No. It's called Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So it's Jason Voorhees.
Those were some stinkers.
Halloween movies, and they're all very bad. Like they're all just bad movies. Now that doesn't mean all of them weren't fun. There are several that are fun, but they're fun for the purposes of, like, they're very clear as to why they're fun. They're like, you're gonna see dumb kids doing dumb things you'll get a laugh at, and you're gonna see some ridiculous kills that'll just have you cackling.
I think my favorite was the guy. It was Freddy Takes Manhattan, like 7 or 8. Where the black kid on the black kid who knows kung fu is like punching him and just gets tired. He's like, come on, take your best shot. Freddy just punches and his head just pops off, rolls down into a dumpster that goes boom.
He punches this guy's head off.
It rolls down the roof into a dumpster, and the dumpster just goes.
I love the one where he like zips the girl up. She's in her sleeping bag, and he just zips the sleeping bag up, and he lifts it up, and he starts beating it against the tree. He's like, wham, wham. Like so again. But you watch these movies, and if you were to be like, which one's the best one? I'd be like, okay, they're all bad. They all exist in the bad category. James Bond isn't there. It exists more, and I think the middle ground where I'm like, these will be more fun to watch. Like there's more of a plot, like there's more characters to follow. It's not just complete spaghetti at the wall, but it has that element of where you're just like, I have to take part of this with a grain of salt, which is different for me as far as like how like a prime enjoyment I get out of movies is being like admiring the skill it takes to do a certain thing, whereas I don't know. I think that the skill that I can admire in this is creating a character that everybody likes. I think the movies themselves are very plain. Like it's just like, hey, bad guy, and then it's a low effort. It's almost like if I was forced really quickly to write a spy thing, I'd be like, all right, he steals a nuke. How does he get there? I don't really know. Like he puts an eye in. Don't think about it that much. Like that. So for me to admire the effort, I'm going, well, that's not very admirable. That's just a very sloppy job. Well, what I can admire is creating a character and knowing that everybody's going to just like this guy. Like he's just charming. He's charming. He's suave. He's cool. He's handsome. He's good at fighting. And I'm like, that's cool to create a character like that. So implementing in any of these storylines, I'm going to have kind of the same feelings. And I'm with you guys where like this one just seemed like it leaned a little too far into the goofy.
Right.
And what's interesting is like, you talk about that mix of low effort and high effort when like the video game stuff is like super low effort. You're like, what even going on here? But then like most of the fight scenes are sound effects notwithstanding are pretty decent. Like the stunts are all really good.
Well, we didn't
Some
even
good
talk
fire
about the
stunts.
long fight scene that took place.
Oh, yeah.
Never Say Never Again in in the whatever chiropractic.
Oh yeah, the really long chiropractor fight.
They just go fighting forever,
and they're just like throwing stuff at each other,
and
it goes on for a
eventually
long
he
time.
just has a bunch of broken glass in his back and is dead. So,
But yeah, but the like the firefight that they have in the cave, and people are like falling down and explosions, and some guy just lights on fire and just
That's a
like
good
rolls
point.
down the hill.
That's a
Like,
good point.
there's a lot of really good stunt work, and then there's of course the underwater scene was like
Yeah,
almost
we
all
took
the
our
James
time
Bond
to
movies
admire
that are
that.
underwater.
Yeah.
They do. I don't know who is in charge of underwater camera work on James Bond films, but they do a really good job.
it's like you're never questioning what's going on, like which is typically a problem with a lot of water scenes. Is it's so hectic that you're like, who's who and what am I looking at? There's bubbles everywhere. Whereas this is done a long
very
time
clear
ago,
what's
and
happening.
it's like there's James Bond, there's the girl he's with, mainly because
like-
her wetsuit just has no cheeks and is super low cut. and
oh,
you're like,
she got cheeks though.
You're like, what kind of a wetsuit is this? But you're like, there's James Bond, there's this girl, there's the bad guy. They're fighting over this machine. The machine pins him against the wall. He gets shot with a harpoon.
Look,
like it's all very clearly visible and like it's done well. Especially
when you
for
got
back
that
then.
much cake, it's well insulated.
She was kind of a string being.
She
but
had
no,
cheeks.
overall,
But
overall thoughts. A much worse movie than Doctor
Oh yeah,
No.
it was
in my
definitely
opinion.
worse than Doctor No.
But as far as like
Still enjoyed
watching
watching
it,
it.
enjoyment level, it's probably the same. Like if anything, I got more laughs out of those moments,
Yeah.
and so there's a so bad it's good element of that.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. So so now that the general outline is done, let's get into the Rotten Tomatoes score. So I'm going to do it backwards this time in the sense that each of you are going to
gonna do
pick your own
audience score
number
first?
for.
Oh, okay.
You're going to be doing the critic score
Okay.
by yourselves, and then we'll go over to the audience score together. So the first one is trying to figure out the critic score. The critic score, just as a reminder to the viewers, essentially is a thumbs up if it's good or a thumbs down if it's good, and it's the percentage of thumbs ups.
Thumbs
That's
up is good,
ultimately
thumbs
what
down
it
if
comes
it's
down.
bad.
I'm gonna
That's what I
assume
meant.
this is bad. I'm gonna assume it's bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume it's not great.
And I feel like this number for this metric is extremely bad. So I'm gonna go with 54.
I was gonna go with 60.
Okay, so both of you are under.
Okay.
Jeez,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
nobody can say any movie's bad.
The critics gave this a 71.
What are you doing?
Yes. So
I guess.
The majority of people should watch this movie and be like, "It's not a good movie. Like, it's so
No,
silly.
it's not
like,
a
it's,
good.
Right.
You'll
But,
laugh
okay,
at it,
but the thing
it's
is,
like,
again, it was fun to watch. So if you give it like a 3 out of 5 because
But
you're like,
for a
at least it was
critic,
fun to
it's
watch.
not supposed to be about
okay,
that.
but critic is a broad term. Like I have a blog
Sure.
and I applied for it to be like certified.
Sure,
like, Jimmy,
but at the
like,
very least, it should mean you're attempting to watch it with a critical eye. Now, I can
Sure.
divulge that watching that was fun, and yet if I was being critical, it's a really bad, like nothing about it is
not a
really
good
all that
movie.
well done. The shark stuff is kind of impressive. Some of the underwater shots, he's still a great character. It's using good IP, but the movie itself is so silly.
goofy.
It's so silly. So like, if I was trying to be critical, I would have to rate it low. And so it's just like 71 is just. What
it's
what
one where
movies
you
are rated low?
you would rate
Yeah.
the movie low, but you say, "On my personal enjoyment, it's higher."
Yeah, sure.
But
This
the
is-
actual movie is like
This
a
is one of
4.
those where, like, if I was to be honest, I would say the critics should be really, really low, and the audience could be high, and it'd be fine
Yeah.
with that. So,
which weirdly enough brings me to my next point. What is you guys can work together on this one?
well,
What
now I'm
would
thinking
be
it's low because he
the-
made the.
He just said that. But I'm thinking
audience
like
score.
50.
Yeah, I'd be fine. Yeah, let's go 50.
Wow, you guys are high, much higher,
Much
Really?
higher.
much higher. It is a 38.
Really?
What? So. Forget me knowing anything about audience and critic scores on Rotten Tomatoes. We should use a
They're
different
garbage.
metric.
Yeah,
We should
this
vote
metric
for a
sucks.
different metric.
Yeah,
we
we'd like
should
to
vote
use
for a
it.
different
I'll
metric.
try to get a research. I'll get some research done to
should
see
get
what I can do.
the
Maybe I can
IMDb
ChatGPT it.
rating.
Be like, hey,
ChatGPT, rate this movie.
rate this movie out of 100.
That would be
Don't
funny.
take Rotten Tomatoes
Ask
into
it right now. Ask
Okay.
ChatGPT right now what
Okay.
it would rate. Never say never again on a scale from 1 to 100, 1 being the worst, 100 being the best, in terms of how good the movie is. Just that. Exactly what I
And I'm
said.
saying I can't rate how objectively good a movie is. Like, answer the question, you clanker,
dumb robot.
you dumb clanker.
Sorry.
No, no.
You guys are just looking at me. It's weird.
Oh yeah, and he's gutsy.
Oh, Nathaniel's going to be pumped about the movies we're watching for
Ooh,
next
oh,
show.
yeah. Why don't we talk about that while he's looking it
So,
up?
okay, so in 2 weeks from today, we're actually not meeting. Marco and I will be out of town, so we'll be meeting the following week. We thought about meeting next week. However, the movies for next week are pretty trash.
doo-doo.
You guys wouldn't have liked it.
What are we missing?
So, what do you mean? What are we missing?
Like, what? Since we're not meeting in 2 weeks, Are there any good movies we're missing that are a shame?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
not really.
We're gonna be in
to be
Boston. There's
honest,
no
it's,
way to.
yeah, it's not really. I
But
did
you're
get
gonna
a
love
I did
where
get
we
a score.
landed,
So as
though.
soon as you're done
Okay.
here,
Am I? Are they Liam movies?
No. This is so.
You are gonna like
one
these.
of them. I'll say the one that you're probably not going to care about is In Time, and it's with Justin Timberlake.
Not We Live in Time.
No. It's called In. Is it just called In Time or
I'm
Time?
almost positive. I'll look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's just called In Time.
It's
Justin Timberlake.
It's I know
Yes,
that part of
In
it is
Time.
weird, but it's a dystopic world where
Oh, the one where you have the clock on your
Yes.
hand. I remember seeing the trailers for that,
It's
and I
it's
was
a
like, Justin
fascinating
Timberlake.
idea.
No, thank you.
It's executed kind of poorly with Justin Timberlake, but it'll give us something to talk about. It's fascinating. The other one that we're gonna watch is Puss in Boots.
The first one or The
yes.
Last Wish.
Nope, Puss in Boots.
Okay,
The first one.
Hell yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, so it's The Last Wish is the one you like?
The Last Wish is the one.
Oh,
I
okay,
love.
well then never mind. I only thought there was one, so I didn't
No,
know.
the Last Wish is the second one.
Okay, so is it worth watching the first one? I just
I don't know
picked
what are other options. I think it'd be fun to watch Puss in Boots.
Okay,
I've never seen it,
Let's go. Well, me and Nathaniel have discovered that children's movies have better messages these days, anyways, and are
pathetic.
much
So
better.
Puss
thought
in
through.
Boots is the original Puss in Boots.
Okay,
Yeah, okay.
so we'll do
check
those
it
two.
out. It might be. It might be bad. It might be good.
What did ChatGPT say?
ChatGPT gave Never Say Never Again a 65, which honestly,
That's all right.
That's fun. Yeah, I
It's
would
all
say
right.
that
I
that's
would.
okay.
I would put it a little lower.
What is the silliness of the audience giving this a 40 something?
39.
39, and the critics getting it a 71. That doesn't make any
pretty
sense.
wild to me.
yeah, it is a pretty broad.
I have to look at some of the reviews and be like, what
Yeah.
happened here?
So, so let's go around the room. I can start in my own ranking. I actually rank this fairly low, so you guys may
yeah.
belittle me on this one. I gave it a 41.
I can see it.
That's
and again,
fair.
and I kind of base it as like
The
that
sound
50
effect
mark.
stuff seems to bother you a lot.
Oh my god, it does. The sound effects is really what got me with this one.
so funny.
Like I know the first one was like I kind of just
handle it.
pushed it.
Other than
off.
the guns, I can't even.
Oh
think
my
of
god,
sound
it's the
effects.
radar ones. That's
Oh, that
really what
was
got me.
annoying. Yeah.
Oh
for
my
sure.
god, they were like for like 4 minutes long. It
Yeah,
was so
there was definitely a lot of
obnoxious.
stuff that was stretched out in this movie.
So yeah, I'm gonna give this a 41. That's
Okay.
what I'm gonna give it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go low too. It's just like if we were to watch all the James Bond movies, they'd all feel pretty much the same. And so if and in my head, this is how I'm doing it. I'm kind of on a scale of James Bond movies because
Yeah.
I'm like they kind of need to exist away from other movies. They're all going to feel generally the same. Did it do the James Bondy things well? I think it still was true to its nature, but it did all the James Bondy things badly as far as like the tropey things were super silly. At every outlet. I mean, every time we mentioned one, there was another one I forgot. So it was so silly to the point where I'm like, come on, guys. Like it's distracting. It's almost like you're making fun of it. So I would put on the lower end of that. So I'm gonna drop it down to like a 49.
49.
But
Okay.
it's not. It's enjoyable because it's the James Bond IP, but it's really not a good James Bond.
No,
movie. It's bad.
it's not a great movie. Like
It's living off
at
of its
all,
IP.
and it's even on James Bond levels. It's mid low.
Yes.
I would put it at a 55 just because any movie that I would say I enjoyed watching, I won't put under 50%.
Okay.
But if you're 50 to 60, it means you're not a good movie, but I did enjoy watching it. So I'm going to put it at a 55. I laughed so hysterically at some of that stuff. And you know what?
Yeah.
That's a good time for me.
That's
fair.
I will
fair.
say, he only used 2 gadgets in this movie. So some movies are more gadget heavy.
He did have the pen. Yeah.
He had the exploding pen and the laser watch, and he used both of them. There are occasionally James Bond movies, and this is baffling to me, where he'll go through this whole thing where they explain how this gadget works, and then he never uses it. The most frustrating was, and I don't remember which movie, it was one of the Roger Moore ones. He's given this dope-ass car, and they're like, it's got missile launchers and this and that, the other thing, and this, that, and the other thing. He never uses any of it. He drives it to one scene, gives it to another guy, and then takes a different thing. And I'm like, what? What? Hello? What?
Which just
What?
brings up
So weird.
another
So
hole
weird.
in this movie where he's in like the motorcycle and chasing them.
Oh,
and
yeah,
they-
yeah.
And then they're just like right next to him with guns, and they're like, "Get inside the car so that we can kill you." And he like shoot at the ground. He's like, "Brrr, "Do it, or I'll kill you."
Dance.
And so he gets into the van, turns around, and as the thing's lifting up to trap him in there, he ramps off of it and gets away. It's
Yeah.
so
It's ludicrous.
It's so silly.
It got so bad to the point where I was like, "That's just normal. That's not even the
that's
wildest
just-
thing that's
yeah.
happened over the last 10 minutes." in this movie.
It's the problem is whenever you when you see something, and that's a really good example of, the only reason that happened is because the bad guys looked at the script and said, "Oh, he's not supposed to die yet,
yeah.
so we got to just like threaten him."
They're literally like shoving like. And there's more. There's him riding the horse at the end where they've all got their rifles and they're effectively just trying to like prod him with the rifles. They're like poking him with the rifle.
And then he just
I'm
goes like, "Drrrr," and they all just go, "Ah!" and drop their rifles.
like,
And then
they would all just be
and then
shooting
he
him.
leaps the horse into
Oh,
the
dude.
ocean.
It was
No, man, it was
approaching ludicrous levels.
yeah, it was bonkers.
So, anyways, our next show.
Wait.
Okay.
Hold on. I need to do my top 5 here. My rate these
yeah.
Oh,
5.
hit me, hit me, hit me.
Nathaniel,
What's my
slap him with
category?
it.
My goodness, Greg.
What's my
Jumping the
category?
gun.
Wow,
So
all
the
right.
category is scariest villains.
Ew.
Think
Is
scary
it scariest,
villains.
best written,
Scary-
No,
Scary.
just scariest.
scariest.
Who
to
is
you.
the
Spooky.
scariest?
So this is gonna be very subjective.
broad.
Yeah.
And it's very broad as
All
well.
right, I'm gonna
Okay.
count along in my head.
I think this is going to be one that you're going to be like, what in the world?
All right.
Well, I don't understand what this guy
right,
is
hit me
doing
with it.
here. Your number 1 scary villain, Thanos.
I feel like Thanos is very powerful and very determined, but I feel like I could argue that I'm one of the half that deserves to live. I'm going to put him at number 5 because
I had him
I
at
feel.
four.
Now I'm not. I'm not
He's
trying to
not particularly
'cause
scary.
look, I'm not trying to fight him.
Powerful.
I ain't fighting him.
Interesting.
I do think I could be like, look, man, I know you got to get rid of half the population. We got to do what we got to do. Let me argue why I should be in the half
I mean,
that
he's
doesn't get snapped
inevitable.
out of
Either
existence.
is or isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So like, there's
There's
not
a
really much to be
50
scared
listen,
about.
there's a 50-50 chance that I get snapped out. I'm just going to argue. I'm going to lay it on the table. I really don't have a lot of control here. So I'm just going to lay it on the table. I can cook, man. You want a good meal? You come on over, make a good drink. You have a nice stove. It's hard work snapping half the people out of existence. I got your back, bro.
That's so funny. All right, Thanos at number 5. Your next person is the Joker.
Okay, the Joker is chaotic and terrifying and is one of the people who would like threaten people you love. So I'm going to put him at number. Oh man, he might be number 1, but I'm going to put him at number 2 to be
Number
safe.
2.
I switched him in my head from 1 to 2 just because I was like, there's a few others.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just hard to. I feel like he could be number 1.
All right. Your next one on the list, Count Dracula.
4, please. I got garlic and spades.
Yeah.
My goodness.
I put him at 5.
This is going to be.
I think he would take a bite and he'd be like, "Whoa!" and just dissolve because I eat so much garlic.
I think that you've completely screwed the pooch on this because your next one is Plankton from SpongeBob.
Okay,
Plankton.
You have 5,
I'm
2,
to be
and
very
4.
honest. Among the things that would walk up to me and be like,
He's got
I'm
a
going
point.
to kill you. If a little plankton walked
Hi.
up and was like, I'm going to destroy you, I'd be like, hold the
Nathaniel.
fucking phone. I'd be like, whoa. Big
My
purple,
plan
like,
worked.
Like Thanos, Dracula, Joker, humanoid.
Okay.
A little plankton guy walks up and I'm like,
That's
okay,
kind of fair.
I am hallucinating. What is going on? I'm terrified at that point. So, but I'll put him at 3.
3. So 5, 2, 3, and 4, which brings your last one, your number 1, Ursula from Little
Yes.
Mermaid.
That checks out.
That checks out.
Wow.
I am impressed to an extent. I would have never put Plankton at
could-
number 3, though.
well,
no
okay.
chance.
The thing is,
He's
again,
not really a villain.
he's not
is
really
he?
a.
What do you mean?
He's more of an
he's an
anti-hero.
antagonist.
He's an anti-hero.
He's not a villain. He's an antagonist.
I don't think he falls into the category
Read a
of
book.
villain.
Read a book, Marco.
False. False. All of it.
He's not a villain. He's not like an arch. I don't know, but anyways, either way, Ursula at 1 is very solid. I mean, that woman is
Too scary.
yeah, she is a freaky woman.
Especially in the live action.
Oh gosh, is it Rosie O'Donnell? Or?
No, it's Melissa McCarthy.
Rosie O'Donnell's scarier than all of us.
Brother, ugh. What's that, brother?
So, join us in 3 weeks. That would be the 28th. Again, the movies we will be watching
real near
are
Halloween.
Is what?
It's real near Halloween.
Oh man, we should have looked for something Halloween.
Are there
themed.
any Halloween movies for October 28th?
I don't believe so, but let me take a
How
look.
about you pull
weird.
it up and see if we can pivot last minute because I didn't realize how close that was going to be.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we just pull it up on the big screen here, so you guys.
We
can...
could also look for stuff that comes out on Halloween. Well, no, that'll be like
No,
literally
let's
every
do-
movie ever.
let's do the
stick.
28th.
We're stick to our guns. If
We'll go-
there's,
There's-
if
these
there's
are
a Halloween movie,
that,
we'll,
how about-
these are the movies that came out on the 28th, and these movies are Puss in Boots, what is that? Holiday?
No.
Tinkerbell?
No.
Saw?
Which one is it?
Saw 2.
What's the one with all the people laying down?
The Craft Legacy. This is a German movie, and I don't really want to read subtitles. The Clown. In Time is the one that we originally had put. Armageddon Time. The Legends of Zorro. Great movie, by the way.
No, that's the second one. The Mask of Zorro is amazing.
Oh, fair enough.
Legends
All
of
right.
Zorro's a joke.
Educating Rita.
Can we watch Inferno, the shitty Dan Brown novel movie?
Oh no, God no.
Inferno is the next one. Sket. Pray for the Devil. And that is it.
Can we watch ski? No.
So none of these are
none of
even
those look
None of those
good.
in here. are
Let's
any
do
good.
it.
So
well,
let's do Puss in Boots and
Yeah, In Time.
the other one that
In
we
Time.
In Time. Yeah. So that'll be the two that we will do.
It won't be super Halloween themed. We're sorry. Maybe if we look at the following week on the before that episode, we'll retract and do some Halloween
y'all.
ones. To,
Yeah, and you guys will be able to see that on Facebook too. You can follow us on Facebook. I'll be posting the.
We do also
the
have a
updated-
Twitter. I should give you the login for that Twitter.
It's
so you
fine.
can tweet.
That's not a problem. But
Slash
yeah, it'll likely stay put. But if we do change it, I will post that on our Facebook. The Facebook is just the 40 Podcast. You can look it up. The logo's on there. You'll see it. It's pretty simple to find.
All right. Well then,
Guys, before we glow, I got big news.
All right.
I found out that Dan Brown has published another Robert Langdon novel.
I don't know what that means.
He's the guy. He's the main character of the Da Vinci Code and Inferno.
Gosh.
And if you've never read any of those books, they are 100% dog water.
Yeah.
They are trash, and I love reading them.
Every
They're
single
so
good
bad.
like historian
and they get like
apologist.
every single one gets worse and worse, and you're like, this guy is like tinfoil hat losing his mind, and I'm just eating it up. I'm just like, so good.
All right. Well, in 3 weeks today, the 28th, we hope you guys join us again. Puss in Boots and In Time. Watch them. Join us. We'd love to have you on. If you're thinking, why can I not join and chat and all this stuff? It's because you haven't liked and subscribed. So go ahead and do that. Help us out. And yeah, we'll see you in a few weeks. So this wasn't too bad. The drink wasn't terrible.
Yeah, it was good.
Doable.
That's not my favorite.
With a cigar, maybe.
Oh, yeah.